Land of power, land of might, exceptional rage, endless fight, patriot bulldozer, leading the way, crushing all foes, making them pay. Flag in hand, fury in eyes, screams of pride, ignoring lies. Iron grip, ruthless and cold. American dream, fierce and bold. Bow before the storm, unstoppable wave. Marching forward, no soul to save. Bulldozers wrath, tearing apart. Exceptionalism, fire in the heart. No retreat, no surrender. Bulldozers force, a savage offender. Red, white, blue, burning bright. In the chaos, he finds delight. Blazing trails of destruction left. In the name of the blessed of theft. Freedom's price, a crimson blade. Bulldozer, savage again, legend made. Bow before the storm, unstoppable wave. Marching forward, no soul to save. Bulldozer's wrath, tearing apart. Exceptionalism, fire in the heart. Blazing trails of destruction left. In the name of the blessed of theft. Freedom's price, a crimson blade. Bulldozer, savage of fate. Legend made. Bow before the storm, unstoppable wave. Marching forward, no soul to save. Bulldozer's wrath, tearing apart. Exceptionalism, fire in the heart.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Dozer Den. Thank you so freaking much to Handy News for that raid before the show even got rolling. Handy News, guys, if you haven't followed Handy News, follow Handy News. I'm excited about the raid. Huzzah! Huzzah! We have props, guys. We have props here in the Dozer Den. Welcome to the Dozer Den. If you have not yet smashed that like button yet, go ahead and just give it a good thumping. Caress that like button. Lean in real close to that like button. Whisper sweet nothings in its ear. Do a big deep. Oh, and we don't want to do that. You don't want to be like creepy Uncle Joe Biden. No, no, no. Don't do that. But do comment in the comment section if you can. Share this stream out with your loved ones, your friends, your family, your ex-girlfriends, boyfriends, Zers, and friends. I'm not judging you, okay? I'm not going to judge you. Just keep it consensual between, Consensual in between adults and preferably behind closed doors, and we will not have a problem. Sorry, there's a bit of a storm here. It kind of distracted me. Cass with a little bit of a what is it? What is it? A little whoosh, a slap of that peach. Every now and then you gotta slap that peach, guys, and sometimes you make them count just to drive the point home. Thank you so much for being here, Mod Queen. Appreciate the heck out of y'all. And what's up, Fork M Dano over there on Peel.net? Thanks for following. Oh, it's an energetic storm, guys. It's energetic. I posted a Rumble short actually of the sneaky storm. I was looking at the sunset. Typically, storms go east to or west to east here. This one's going the opposite direction. So it's throwing Southeast Missouri for a loop. If I lose power, I'll come back to you guys as soon as I possibly can, guys. If you haven't yet followed this channel, smash that follow button. We're a little over 1,500 total followers, like 290 or so on the channel, 1,230, I think, or something like that on the user profile. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Handy News, so much for that raid. Guys, if you haven't followed Handy News, go ahead and do so. What is up? Sanglant, Cass, TL Weberg, Greg Ohio, Salty Zipper Tits, just throwing all kinds of shade on my AI vocals. Guys, that is the Dozer Den theme song was created with Suno, and I think it's a bit of a banger. I'm a bit partial to it. I'm a bit biased, I'll admit. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's just vicious thunder. I had to get the dad voice with my kids earlier, guys. They were out standing on the step outside the back porch, and they were observing the rain, and then a gigantic bolt of lightning hit and thunder. And then I see them running out on the concrete pad barefoot with it raining, throwing their arms up excited. And I'm just like little Muppets out there. I'm like, what are you doing? Get inside. I said you could stay on this freaking step. They're like, but there's a rainbow. I was like, that's awesome. I'm glad there's a rainbow, but lightning will kill you. The rainbow will not kill you, most likely. Probably not. I don't know, though. I don't know. Maybe the rainbow might. But I'm just like, I had to explain to him why I was so angry. Like, I was like, for the love of God, I get it. The rainbow's beautiful. But the lightning, it just went boom. It just went gigantic boom. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my gosh. That's the part you don't miss about Missouri. It keeps you on your toes. I will say that. I did not expect this one at all, though. It came out of nowhere. I'm supposed to weed eat somebody's yard tomorrow, and I don't know if that's going to happen. A different rainbow. Wrong rainbow. Wrong rainbow. What's up, Palms R Us? Good to see ya. Appreciate the heck out of you guys being here. Guys, if you could kindly hit that repost button here on Rumble. When you do, everybody that follows you on Rumble is going to see your repost, and it goes in a repost tab on the front page. And the goal is to welcome more Killdozers here into the Dozer Den. We must grow the Killdozer army. Currently metaphorical. Probably going to stay that way. Guys, did you know that any stream we do here in the Dozer Den, if we hit $50 worth of donations, that's right, 50. If we hit $50 worth of donations, I'll put on a fancy hat. What's up in the desert over there on pill.net? Thanks for the red pill and the repost. I appreciate you. And Sheriff Hector with the red pill and a repost as well. Did we get a raid on Pilled too? I don't see anything going on Pilled. I am sorry if there is activity in the chat on pill.net. It is not showing up for me, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. Let me actually pull up Pilled because they updated the to XP. There we go. Yes, on your toes all spring and summer, and there's no basements. Well, there are basements around here, but it just depends. If you go into the swampy areas, basements are going to leak, and then you're going to have cracks in the walls, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. You think of despair and boredom when you think of Missouri, or as I call it, misery. I love it. Honestly, I don't like the humidity. That's one thing about coming back from the East Coast, guys. That saltwater air is drier, and oh gosh, I forgot my co-host, Bobble Trump. There we go, hanging out in the corner here. He's got his foil hat, aka his own tiny little illuminable. That's right, guys. This is one of the hats that I will put on my head if we hit $50 worth of donations. Also known as the illuminable, because when sideways. I have many hats to choose from, though, and I usually leave it up to the person who gets us to the hat goal of what hat I will put on my head. We got close yesterday. We got close. But yes, If you didn't know it, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9 p.m. Central. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 3 to 4 news topics. Palette cleanser sprinkled about. Saturday streams. It's a hangout stream, a chill stream, a decompress stream for all you amazing kill dozers here in the Dozer Den. And guys, it really is a special time on Saturday evenings. We go quite a while, sometimes near 7 hours. That was one stream, usually about five. On Saturdays, 5 to 6 hours on Saturdays. We go into the wee hours of the morn. And then I skip church because I'm a bad Catholic, but I typically will look at the readings and pray with my kids. So there's that. I try. My mom's been getting on to me. She goes, "Did you go to church Sunday?" "No, Mom, I slept in." "It's not going to do you any good taking those kids to religion class and not going to church." I know. Shame. Shame. It's one of the key facets of being a Catholic. The shame. Always. But no, I like Missouri. I do. It's a decent time. It's a decent time. There's a lot of state parks and a lot of good fishing. And the East Coast is dry. Oh, good lord, the East Coast is. Oh, it is so much drier. The air is so much drier. Don Darkstar down there at Myrtle Beach. Maybe it's just the weather down there at the time, but it was so much drier down there. It's up 208 outdoors over there on Pill.net. That is an awesome avatar. Um, but no, compared to up here, it is like a rainforest in southeast Missouri. You got to remember, this is like former swampland, and I guess North Carolina. Well, I don't. I mean, there's marshy stuff, but really, it is the salt water. I guess makes the air drier. I don't know. East Coast people suck. No, there's some good folks on the East Coast. Salty's gonna troll a little bit, guys. It happens. Don't take it personally, okay? Don't take anything Salty Zipper Tits says personally. Look at the username. God, but the humidity in Missouri is god awful. It is so bad. Like my glasses keep fogging up when I get out of the car. And they did it once or twice there in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But yeah, I my post nasal drip has come back with a vengeance. Lady Dozer's ears are fluidy, and she's not liking it. What's up, Dirt Jelly? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. And if you are a lurker, I do love my lurkers, but guys, Rumble is paying attention to how active the live chat is. So even if you want to just throw out an emote here or there, or if you want to, throw shade at somebody, or if you want to be nice, that's an option too. I know not everybody likes that, but what is up in the desert over there on Pilled? Thank you for saying hi in the chat. 208 Outdoors. Hello. But yes. Jesus, Salty. Good lord. That was just ladybugs. Oh, ladybugs, Lindsey Graham. The further away from the day of his death, the more callous I become. I was pretty brutal at work today. I work with like-minded folks. It's nice. It's very nice. Sometimes we have disagreements, but we have intellectual disagreements, and we're able to parse the details. We're able to actually, I think, help each other grow, which I really value that. I value other people's input. I value other perspectives. As long as they're actually engaging in good faith. I don't like people like Brian Shapiro, the way he does discussions. His discussions are just mudslinging, and it's not fun. Don't do that. Just swinging through. It's bedtime, 3 a.m. calling, but wanted to say hi, brother. It is. Thank you very much for popping in and saying hi, guys. Don't forget to hit that repost. And I do appreciate you being here, Dirk. Appreciate you hanging out with these amazing killdozers. They won't bite unless you ask nicely. But yeah, reposting helps. Commenting in the comment section is caring. And like I said, sharing the stream out. Spread the word, letting people know, hey, there's this short brown guy called Bill Dozer, and he's got a show he calls The Dozer Den. He talks about stuff and things and stuff. It's true. It is true. The one he did with the kid at Transer was gold. That was good. Who are we talking about? What? That was just, I'm confused. Am confuzzled. Who almost got killed? It's not good. Oh, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Pill.net, thedozerden.locals.com. That's right, thedozerden.locals.com. Follow me there. You don't have to pay to follow, but if you want to participate in the live chat, one of the most free speech live chats on the interwebs, you do have to pay a measly $5 a month. You can participate in the live chat when you do so. You can comment under things that I post. You can post things you find interesting in that community. And you get all the benefits of a Rumble subscription, which include your name being lit up in the most beautiful shade of MAGA red. That's right, you'll catch a Rumble rash. It oozes patriotism, and the only treatment is more America. That's right, not less America. Some say you shouldn't spread a rash around. But I'm saying yes, hit that red present box, shower the chat with your love, or possibly even spray the chat with your love. I'm not gonna judge you based on what verb you want to use. Just keep it fuck, I lost my flow there. Sorry. Uh we talk about stuff and things here in the Dozer Den. That's right. Bubble Trump. I usually don't keep with the Trump. I usually fade in and out of the Trump, but it stuck with me today. The Trump took over, and I couldn't stop it. You heard about that on Salty. Oh, Shapiro. Shapiro almost got killed? Shapiro? I missed something. I missed something, apparently. I don't know. Yeah, he owns his own head shop called Stuff and Things. Nice. Very nice. I haven't watched Salty in a minute. Salty Cracker? Oh, man. But guys, we are going to talk about some things tonight. We are. My voice hurts. Guys, for work, I kind of talk all day. And then yesterday, I did a lot of talking. We did a lot of reading through some articles. It was very news heavy yesterday, but it was important, I think. So, big transgender by the back of oh, you're talking about on CNN, yeah, where he's like, watch it, little fella, like, and I'll meet you outside in the parking lot. And he's like, well, that's not very ladylike. My wife's a doctor. You should trust me. I mean, honestly, if you wanted to be a lady, you'd be a little bit more feminine. You wouldn't be so aggressive. You wouldn't be so masculine. If you wanted to really be like a lady, and if you trust me that my wife's a doctor, and then maybe not try to attack me. Oh my God, don't hurt me. Don't knock my kip off. I don't like Ben Shapiro. I don't. Do I think a trans person should have attacked him? No. It was assault, technically. Don't do that. Yeah. That did happen. I forgot. It's like, it's male. And that, guys, is why we have a fuck it bucket. And we also duck it in the fuck it bucket. It's a bucket up. Yes. Yes, indeed. Sometimes we have a bucket. You're lost. I'm lost too. Guys, I'm squirreling. I'm spiraling hard. It's Sanglant's fault. But anyways, guys, my voice hurts. And so I know you can't tell by how I've been rambling for 17 minutes straight, but we don't do maps over here. But anyways, yeah, I was looking at an interview with Eric Burlison the other day, and I didn't watch it because I thought, you know what, that'd be fun to kind of watch and react to and analyze with you guys on the stream. So that is one of the things we're going to do today. And I will shut up. But I am going to stop and pause and talk and kind of give my perspective and maybe add a little bit of fluff up the topics a little bit that they're discussing. Jesse Michaels' American Alchemy. It's a fun show. He goes, wow, a lot. But it's fun. He has some really interesting guests on. I think he's the one he ended up getting Spielberg on. I actually listened to that while I fell asleep, so I've technically watched that whole thing. I just don't remember it. It was in my subconscious and it didn't stick. So whenever I watch it again, I'm sure I'll be like, oh, I think I've heard this before. But first thing that we're going to talk about, though, there's people in the chat that are going to hate me for this. But the House has passed a measure to make daylight savings time permanent. And I am a fan of that. Yes, I want more light at the end of the day. Screw the children in the morning and their darkness and possibly getting run over. I don't even care. It's not actually what I mean. I don't believe that, no. But everyone's like, oh, but what about the children? They're going to get hit. It's like, oh, we tried it back in the 70s. Yeah. Almost 60 years ago. Over half a century ago it was tried, when technology wasn't that great, when the lighting wasn't that great, and by God, for a couple months out of the year, they can just improve the lighting, and the lighting's actually a lot better. So your arguments fall flat, I say. Your arguments fall flat. I want daylight savings time permanent. Senate, you better hop on it, make it happen. To all the rest of you, suffer and seethe and cope. Ban it, not keep it year-round. Sanglant, you bastard. Hate you. If you want more, no, I'm a creature of the night, Sanglant. How do you say get up early? You're up at, do you sleep, Sanglant? I don't think Sanglant sleeps. Sanglant might be a robot. Screw you, there I said it. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yes, I want daylight savings time permanent. Yeah, in the morning I have no problem with there being a little bit of darkness, and I used to wake up early for oh, when I worked at an orchard. Yes, my first job was picking corn and peaches and apples and all kinds of good stuff. And I woke up very early. It was still dark. We got out in the cornfield before the sun came up because the goal is to get to picking and get the picking done before the sun gets too high and gets really, really hot. And you get soaked because of the dew. There is a lot of dew in the cornfield, and you must wear jeans and a undershirt and flannel long sleeves because you will get cut up by that corn, and it's vicious. My face would get red and welpy. Might have been a bit of an allergic reaction, but hey, I lived. I survived. I did it every summer during high school. I started at 15 and did three summers because my freshman to sophomore, sophomore to junior, junior to senior. Wait, 4 summers because senior year after I actually did not go the whole time. I did not finish out the summer there because they slighted me, and I wasn't having it. And is the only place that I have. Is the only place. Mister, I'll give you something to cry about. He's Salty Zipper Tits is boomering hard right now in the chat. But it's the only place that I did not give 2 weeks notice. As soon as I got the other job, I took the other job and said, I called him that Friday and said, hey, I'm not going to be into work this weekend. I've got another job. Oh, but Bill, we'll give you that raise. I said, it is too late. I said, I got disrespected and I'm not having it. You guys, good job. You lost it. Only time I've ever done that because I won't be your bitch. And you're not going to pay somebody with 2 years less experience than me a couple dollars more an hour than me because he looks like the kid that you wish was your son. David. Pussy. And then talk shit about me and my brothers when I was out there picking right alongside you. Matching you ear for ear off the cob, buddy boy. Yeah. Fuck you, David. Oh, I shouldn't be like that. That's not the Christian way to be. I need to be nice. I need to be nice. I need to forgive. That was like, good Lord, not 20 years ago, like 15 years ago. He said, don't make me turn this car around. I don't care if I get tired trying to remember if we should have changed time. So no. So if it stays now, like stays what it is, they just want to keep the time we currently have right now. Unless you're in like Arizona or Hawaii. I think Arizona and Hawaii stick to standard time permanently. But I think there's going to be an option for states, if I'm not mistaken. So it won't be like across the land that we'll be switching back. We have an article on it. We'll get into the article. There are links to the articles in the description. There is a link to locals and the Discord as well. Discord is a fun little community. If you want to join that, you don't have to, but if you want to, hey, I post things there every now and then. Probably post more there than I do in locals. I need to get better about posting in locals. Singlet, I'll do better. I'll post things. Can I post shorts? Can I post short videos in locals? I think I can. I'll figure it out. Figured it. I did get a lawnmower belt. I thought about recording that for premium content, putting on a lawnmower belt on my my deck. I need to get a grease gun though, because I'm pretty sure I need to grease the pulleys, and I do not have a grease gun because I am a basic fellow when it comes to some of that stuff. But I need to see if my brother maybe has one I could borrow, or my father-in-law. I think my father-in-law's probably got a couple of them. Yeah. But anyways, before we get into the first official topic, I do have some things that I want to go through with you guys. Okay. Did you guys know that dolphins are not just the frolickers of the sea? They're also druggos. Hey, you druggo. What are you talking about? They use pufferfish to get high. Let's watch.
These dolphins know exactly what they are doing. This is a
Yeah, those dirty little dolphins. They know what they're doing.
pufferfish. When threatened, it releases a neurotoxin. Dolphins figured out that a small dose doesn't kill you. It just changes your perception.
Is that a real image? That's got to be AI. That can't be a real dolphin. No, it's just this. I like this AI video. Those dolphins are high as hell. Look at those squinty eyes.
So they bite it
Yeah.
gently, just enough. Then they pass it to their friends.
Pass the psychonaut ball.
Scientists watched an entire pod
That's real.
take turns with the same pufferfish for 20 minutes
Oh, that just sounds dirty. A whole pod of dolphins taking turns with the same pufferfish for 20 minutes? Good lord.
straight. They weren't hunting it, they were sharing it. After contact, dolphins float near the surface, barely moving, staring
They're so blitzed. Guys, the dolphins are having such a good time.
into nothing.
Dolphins, the other white meat. Salty, no!
So-
It'd probably be red meat, wouldn't it?
Scientists call this intentional
What's a train underwater? Running the submarine on them?
behavior. They are the only animals besides humans
No, saying
known to
land.
seek
You're in
altered
timeout.
states for pleasure.
Well, there that was. Degenerates. Good lord. Running the submarine on them. It's awful. Yeah, eventually I'm going to actually clip from my streams. I have a bunch of good clips, guys. The dolphin train. Are there frogs around that they can lick? I don't know about in the ocean. Ocean frogs. Saltwater frogs. Kind of doubt it. Maybe a toad gets stuck in the ocean periodically. Probably dies quickly from the salt content. I don't know. So, guys, we know the story. We covered it actually 2 streams in a row of the fella in Yellowstone who got attacked by the bison. And now, I think we have a little bit of karma coming back for this bison. I think it's the exact same. This is the exact same bison that attacked that old fellow with the suspenders, looking kind of like Santa Claus. Massive, massive beard, by the way, and massive cojones for being able to get up and say, "Oh well, my leg hurts, but I'll be all right." But this is what happens. This is the karma that befalls the bison. Oh. It's blaming the car. There that was. Yes. Yes, indeed. But yeah, after we talk about daylight savings time, we're going to get into the interview with Eric Burlison, Southwest Missouri native, with Jesse Michaels on American Alchemy. They talk about the UFO stuff, alien stuff, and if you can tell by the thumbnail, apparently Trump was shocked by some of the information that he received. Will he eventually talk about it? Probably not, because Iran's the big news of the day again. And I guess on Thursday there is going to be a big announcement, guys. I am possibly not going to be here on Thursday. I don't know yet. I'm supposed to be going up to St. Louis with Lady Dozer and Middle Dozer, the Middle Dozer offspring. Have to take her up to a specialist to get some imaging done and hopefully get some stuff figured out for her. She's been having some, bedtime, potty issues, and even during the day some. It's like, I think there might be something physically going on. We just want to make sure. Want to cover all the bases. And it could just be something she needs to grow out of at some point. I don't know. She's 8, so it can happen. But I really hate it for her. It really sucks. She's feeling all, she doesn't feel good about it. And, it's understandable. But got to take her up to a specialist in St. Louis, and then we're going to get meet up with a friend after that and hang out for a little bit. And then should be coming back. What is up, Zane, over there on the YouTube? Thanks for watching over there. Glad to see you. Don't forget to smash that like button, share the stream out, repost if you can. I don't know if you can do that on YouTube or not, but I do appreciate you being here wherever you may be watching, whenever you may be watching. Thanks for watching this episode of the Dozer Den. Uh, to the future people watching after the live stream, hi there. I hope a meteor hasn't taken the planet out yet. Maybe only certain parts. Just certain parts. But good to see you over there, Zane. If you don't have a Rumble channel or a Rumble account, take 3 minutes out of your day. Go to rumble.com or go into the App Store on your device of choosing and download the Rumble app and let this channel, the Dozer Den or Bulldozer74, be your first follow. It reflects positively upon me as I am in the creator program. And, we're hustling. We're hustling. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the first topic here. We've got an article from Time. Daylight savings time. And we're talking about an article from Time. There you go. After that, we're going to do the watch party of the Eric Burlison interview. It is going to be cool beans. All right, let's get into this first article. The House on Tuesday passed a bill that would make daylight savings Is it daylight saving time or savings time? Have I been saying it wrong my entire life? Good God. Good God. Permanent, advancing a years-long effort to end the practice of changing the clocks twice a year. The Sunshine Protection Act passed the lower chamber with strong bipartisan support in a 308 to 171 vote and will now head to the Senate. The upper chamber previously passed a similar measure in 2022, but the House didn't take up the proposal at the time. President Donald Trump has also backed the idea of making daylight savings time permanent, calling on Congress to push hard for daylight at the end of the day. Under federal law, states can currently opt to stay in standard time year-round rather than jumping forward an hour each March for daylight saving time, and falling back each November, like most of the country does. Hawaii and most of Arizona have already taken that option to stay in standard time permanently. Weirdos. God. I say savings. This article is saying saving. So I don't know. Is this an authoritative source? Should I let it correct me, or should I just keep it on? You hope Trump says Mo Save Act is vetoed. I think there are no Save Act. It's vetoed. Oh, that would be unsettling. I would be sad about that. I don't know why they're attaching the Save Act to the NDAA. Why are they attaching the Save Act to the National Defense Authorization Act that has been a consistent violation of our privacy rights, that has been a consistent violation of constitutional rights in general of American citizens? Why does the NDAA keep passing with all those provisions? Because when the government gets power, it's not want to relinquish said power. Yes. But states are not permitted to remain in daylight savings time year-round, despite a number seeking to do so, and even though Americans tend to favor even though more Americans tend to favor the hour forward setting. That's right, I'm with the crowd this time, guys. I am not a contrarian on this one. More people agree with me. Wah. The bill the House passed on Tuesday would change that. The legislation, if passed by the Senate and signed into law by Trump, would make permanent daylight savings time the norm across the U.S., while also giving states the choice to opt out of it. So that's cool. At least the state by state, you could opt out of it. Then you're just going to be weird if you're not on the same wavelength as everybody else. Daylight savings time, during which the sun appears to rise and set an hour later, is intended to better align the times when people are most active with the daylight. But it's rife with controversy. Most countries don't observe it, and though the majority of Americans support ending the cycle of changing the clocks twice a year, they're a little more split on whether they'd like to stay in daylight savings time or standard time. According to a recent survey, 43% of Americans said they would prefer permanent daylight savings time, whereas 28% want permanent standard time. Backers of the Sunshine Protection Act have argued that Americans are tired of changing their clocks twice a year. I am. And that making daylight savings time permanent would encourage people to go outdoors more, as well as reduce traffic accidents and instances of crime. I tend to agree. I've advocated for this change for years because it's clear that year-round daylight savings time is a popular common sense reform that will improve everyday life for millions of Americans. Rep. Vern Buchanan, a Florida Republican who introduced the bill this year, said in a statement before the House voted on the measure. He has proposed a version of the measure regularly since 2018. The US has tried to make daylight savings time permanent before in 1974, but the move was not popular and ended up being repealed less than a year later. In the few months when the law was in effect, many people were getting up and traveling to their jobs or schools when it was still dark outside, since the sun seemed to be rising later in the morning. Sleep experts have criticized the idea of making daylight savings time permanent. While they support ending the biannual clock change, they advocate for making standard time permanent instead because they argue that would align best with people's circadian rhythms and ultimately improve health and safety. Well, joke's on them. I never developed a healthy adult circadian rhythm. So, nah, nah. Salty says, "This is so stupid. We have many problems, and this isn't one. In the winter, it'll cause a bunch of wrecks because of people having to drive before daylight. The lighting is better now, though, Sanglance. And here's the thing: that's just like a month and a half, 2 months out of the year where it's going to be that dark. So I think we'll be all right. Can we go back to just all working our lives around Saturday morning cartoon time? God, that would be. Those are the times of bliss. You wrong. In this instance, you right. Can we go back to just all working our lives around Saturday morning cartoon time? Yes. And then Saturday night cartoon time. Toonami. The good stuff. Hmm. Okay. Let's see. Many states are poised to jump at the chance to stay in daylight savings time if the bill the House passed becomes law. However, lawmakers in states including Alabama, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Texas have passed legislation or resolutions in recent years in an effort to make daylight savings time permanent, though they have so far not been able to adopt the change without congressional approval. Well, it's coming. Coming whether you like it or not. It's going to be a good time. And noon being minimum shadow. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think it's going to be pretty decent. And like I said, the technology's improved since the 70s. A lot of people are like, "Oh, kids got hit and there were more accidents and stuff." Well, the technology has gotten better. Cars have gotten better. People have not gotten smarter, but lighting has gotten better. I think it'll be okay. I think that's the biggest concern that people had is more wrecks in the morning. Um, I don't know, honestly, I mean, I'm I don't know. I'm fine with night driving. Why does night driving cause more accidents? Why is that? I have astigmatism. If anybody has complaints about night driving, it should be me, right? I see the glary, off the headlights and street lamps and stuff like that. I have no problem driving at night. I guess there are people who do, and people with a older sight, I think, usually tend to have a bit of an issue. Guys, Dr. Phil is on this UFO stuff because I'm kind of done talking about the daylight savings time story. But I saw that and I felt like I needed to include that rather than just being a watch and analysis show tonight. I wonder if I should. I wonder if I should keep it going on YouTube or not, because YouTube's probably going to try to give me a copyright strike for it, covering this. It's a 12-day-old piece. The link, by the way, the link to this interview is in the description. Click on that link and give Jesse Michaels, host of American Alchemy, a follow and a subscribe. I wish his stuff was on Rumble so I could watch it on Rumble. That would be amazing. I think he does have a channel. He just hasn't uploaded to it in a while. Or if he does have a channel, I don't know about it. So your eyes are light sensitive and headlights hurt my eyes. Well, that sucks. Do you drive often, Salty? Is this going to affect you? Save America Act now, making Doge permanent and codify Trump CEOs. Dude, I agree, but that doesn't seem to be happening, and I don't think it's going to. I think the good old Hegelian dialectic is going to persist, salty zipper tits. And while I want those things to happen, they don't seem to be doing a lot of work to make it so. And that I'm not being a black pillar here. I'm just being a realist. It doesn't look like Congress is going to go along and actually codify the executive orders into law. It looks like Maha has been largely neutered. I kind of think they've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in there right now to keep him quiet and keep him under tow. And the establishment going to do what the establishment going to do. Seems to be regardless of who we have in office. And we know that the president is not a king. And I said this whenever Trump got elected the second time. I said, guys, that doesn't mean everything's going to be roses and sunshine. It's not going to fix everything. It's not our savior. It's a good vibe. It felt great for the first 6 months. But, we get what we get, and hopefully we get some wins. And we think we've gotten a lot of wins. We have. There are some stinkers, but, don't let the turds in the punch bowl ruin the rest of the punch. Okay, keep it isolated. Nobody wants to turn in the punch bowl, though. I get the 1965 Voters Act, but we should repeal the part about banning literacy tests to vote. I agree. You need to be able to read. You need to be able to digest information, in print. Trump's been a failure on every day. He's doing better than others on immigration. And the border has been largely sealed off from what I understand. I mean, I would need to dig into the details a little bit more, but that's the biggest win. And if it's just that's a hell of a big win. You wrong. Just the border getting secure, and the crackdown on illegals, it didn't go away. It kind of pulled back so that the media attention would get off of it, and then they hammered, back hard again. So it's been temporarily halted, and we need to make it permanent. How do we make it permanent? But anyways, guys, let's get into some UFO talk. What's up, Chops ITMZ over there on pill.net? Good to see ya. What's up, Laura Blades? Thank you so much for joining this episode of the Dozernin. And really quick, I'm going to shout out the reposts and the commenters, because you guys doing a very, very free thing to help this channel grow is amazing, and I appreciate the hell out of you. Did you know that there are some not so free ways to support the channel? Through Rumble Rants, through gifted subs, through subscribing to the channel for a measly $5 a month. You can also use Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. Do we have QR codes for this? Yes, we do. There's a PayPal right on my face. We're going to move him over to Trump's face. Nobody blocks Trump's glorious, glorious mug. I just did. We have Venmo blocking my face. Bam. And then we also have, look at this, a Cash App. A Cash App QR code. If you want to get around the app processing fees, hey, that money goes directly to the Dozer Den household, helps me focus on making more content for you amazing killdozers here in the Dozer Den. Nobody ever has to donate monetarily to the Dozer Den, but if you want to, I sure do appreciate the heck out of you. All right. Let's check this out from Dr. Phil, guys. Dr. Phil is talking about UFOs. Why is Dr. Phil getting the information? Why is he getting the inside scoop? I need to know. Is he a disinformation agent like Lou Elizondo? Maybe. That is a cat army. Hell yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Dr. Phil, talking to the woman who looks like she smelled something nasty. I forgot her name.
What we know for sure, I'm convinced of this to the core of my soul, there are unexplained phenomena.
I don't get it. Why do they get to know and we don't? I mean, we're the taxpayers. That's what I don't understand. And
When these people get elected to government, they were in regular jobs just like everybody else before they were sworn into office. They weren't imbued with any wisdom or vision before they took that job. Why would we substitute their judgment for our own? Look, we're not entitled to know strategy and tactics in a war action or even an economic or crisis management situation. That's not what we're talking about here. This is something that could reorder the entire universe, human exceptionalism. This impacts people's religious values and belief systems.
Muted. I boomered, oh God. I disagree. It does not impact my religious perspectives or viewpoints or my faith at all.
Everything. And we are entitled to know this and certainly not be misdirected about it. What we know for sure, I'm convinced of this to the
Okay. What is up, Mod King in the chat? We had the Mod Queen earlier with Cass, and now Neurodivergent One coming in, saying hello, saying that you guys should smash that like, follow, and repost. Bacon, thumb, bacon, thumb, bacon. Thank you so much for your mod services, Neurodivergent One. Appreciate you. Yeah, I hope good things. I hope good things come for sure. I am going to be a realist, and I will criticize as necessary, but I want good things to come. Really quick, guys, this is I think D&D gone wrong. Is this real life D&D? I don't know. I cast magic missile. Yeah. Shit. Oh no. There was a stash of fireworks in there. That didn't go well. Don't go in there. Why are you going in there? Get the person, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's... Wow, what an idiot. That could have killed him. Idiot. What a fool. Alcohol and fireworks, probably not the best combination. Just saying. Probably not. Guys, if you're wondering what we're doing after this, we are doing a watch party of the interview with Eric Burlison and Jesse Michaels on American Alchemy. My voice is quite tired. It got quite tired last night, and I did not get a chance to have any of that amazing rooibos tea from BiltongUSA.com. That's right, guys. You can go to www.biltongusa.com, not just for the meat, but also for that amazing, amazing tea. There are also imported goods, some sugary stuff, some snacks. But if you want to keep yourself from carving out, guys, grab you some of that amazing, delicious, fantastic meat from BiltongUSA.com. Use promo code DOZER for 10% off your order. Guys, Anton, he's a South African immigrant that came to this country with a very, very simple dream of spreading his meat across the land. And you can be one of the killdozers that helps him achieve that goal. That's right. That's right. You can eat it cold. You can eat it lukewarm, room temperature. You can eat it warmed up on a leftover piece of cheese pizza. You can eat it cooked in the skillet with your omelet. It's one of my favorite ways to have biltong, not gonna lie. It's delicious. The Wagyu peri peri is my favorite. But it's all good, guys. You gotta let the meat slide down your throat hole. Check it out. Buy some meat from King of Biltong, www.biltongusa.com. Promo code DOZER to save 10% off, and those 8-ounce bags do make excellent gifts. I've done it before. I gifted them, I gifted them to some electric workers, guys. What the hell would you call them? Utility guys that came out because the power went out in February, and it was like 15 degrees outside, and they came out and were working their butts off until like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, I have meat. Would you like meat? And I gifted them biltong, and I told them, go get it, Salty. If you are putting Anton's meat in your mouth, his good God, I'm not reading the rest of that. It's not June anymore. Don, the whole point of having regular people in Congress was to have people whose skin in the game. That changed at some point. Yes, the better men. It's they're not this. They don't consider themselves the same as us anymore. They consider themselves above in an ivory tower, and that's not a way to succeed as a country, in my opinion. It just isn't. We have a clip here from Chuck Schumer. And apparently he's been struck ill by this parasite. There is a diarrhea parasite going around. And apparently he ate some Taco Bell for lunch and caught the explosive diarrhea stomach bug. Enjoy.
And we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration... And we need a complete investigation.
It goes up with the raise.
When all the Trump administration...
It was a fart. I am a juvenile. Yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, man. Schumer. Let it out. You let it out. Here's a funny. Don't do this. This is not mechanical advice.
Pro tip, if you ever want your brakes to stop squeaking, just put some wheel bearing grease on the rotors.
Right into ice detention, guys. Right into ice detention. We don't know they're illegal. Don't just assume that. That is funny, though. Yes, hers. If you notice, her glasses were on upside down, too. Oh, yeah. I hope nobody ever actually does that. That would be bad. You would not get any breaks at all. It would be a bad thing. All right. You guys want to get into it? Do you want to get into it? Let's do it. Checking on. Oh, I gotta check on the reposts and the comments. Just a moment here, and the likes. We gotta make sure that people are liking the stream. We're up to 20 likes, and let us check. The repost. Sam Duty with a repost. Neurodivergent one with a repost. Dirk Gently with a repost. Cass with a repost and a comment. Hell yeah, Cass. Thank you very much for that. And we had some new followers. We had Googie Designs. Thank you for the follow. We had a few that we shouted out yesterday that followed the stream. Rach, J. Henry. Appreciate you guys following it the other day. And thank you guys for commenting and reposting. That does help the channel grow. Believe it or not. That's what they tell me anyways. They keep telling me this. I don't know who they is. Who is they? Let's not talk about that, okay? Let's not talk about that. Don't need to. Let's go ahead and get into this. Watch and react. Only an hour into the stream. I think we're going to watch it all. We might not. I hope YouTube does not strike me down into nothingness for this. It is fair use commentary, and I will win my appeal. I've done it a couple times. So hopefully YouTube doesn't try to screw with me too bad on this one. Last video I did have, it was actually the UFC. It was the clips of Conor McGregor getting hurt that got me blocked globally. So I had to trim that segment out, and it's not hard to do. You just literally, it's the YouTube studio tells you where to trim, and then you click trim, and it does it for you. But YouTube could be just a little bit less gay. Just a little bit less gay. I mean, I was literally reacting to it. I was providing analysis of what was going on. That is fair use commentary. UFC go UFC, though. Excuse me. What's up, Hamburglar Helper? Says fake. Talking about the Conor McGregor thing? It looked like it hurt. I've never done that to my knee, but I have hurt my ankles quite a bit and my hip, and it sucks. And you lose all strength. It just takes it out of you. Good Lord, we have 2 people watching over there on the YouTubes. Is that somebody ready to strike my channel down with a reckless abandon? Maybe. But thank you guys for your support in whatever way you were able to support this channel. You guys are great. Let's enjoy this. Congressman reveals the alien brief that changed the president's life. That's right. It blew his mind. Said, oh no, E.T. E.T. was a documentary. Not fiction. Not fanciful musings. No, E.T. was real. YouTube is ASO. I concur. Hamburglar questioning everything at this point. You should question everything. Laser still has this dumb show from. Oh, look at that. It's one of the trolls. You go for it. You have a good time. Let's enjoy this.
If we discover that our government has held on to anti-gravitic information from the scientific community, I'm going to be really pissed.
Congressman Eric Burlison, Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison. What's going on here?
MIT Lincoln Labs, we found out that there was a reel-to-reel audio file where you have a senior official with the Department of Defense briefing scientists at MIT about saucers.
Whoa.
There is reportedly an object that is not in this country that is so large.
You know, looking at him without his glasses, guys, he might be an alien hybrid. He might be one of them. One of the Greys. It's a possibility. I don't know.
It cannot be moved.
What's the craziest thing
I want to see that one
told to you? You can leave the person totally anonymous.
This thing was blacker than black sphere that
What's up,
was
Sam Duty
floating,
over there on YouTube?
and it just gave this sense of just complete evil and darkness. So they brought me in and they told me about the event that happened in the Western United States. They actually personally encountered these UAP. So they jump in the helicopter, they go to the location, and what they interact with are basically glowing orbs. They are some type of spherical, nebulous, what's described as like a ball of plasma.
Guys, since I've been back from vacation, I went outside a couple nights to look for the orbs, and I didn't see them, and I was kind of sad. Last night, though, I saw one, so that was kind of cool. My child was up at like midnight for some reason because she woke up to get a drink, and she saw me going outside. She goes, "Are you going funny light hunting?" And I was like, yes, I am. But you will go to bed because it's late, and you don't need to be up.
Neil McCaslin is a general who is extremely high up. He went super mysteriously missing.
Yeah, we were definitely making inquiries trying to set up something to talk to him. Whether there's a body in the desert, they need to go find a body, find the body. I would like a full briefing, the same White House level briefing that the president gets on this topic. I want to be able to go to all these sites that we keep hearing about. Pax River, Whiteman Air Force Base. I'm going to go to Area 51, Green Lake S4, all of that stuff.
What do you think President Trump knows about UFOs?
I do believe he's been briefed, and that during that briefing, he was told that there are hybrids. Trump's response was, "You mean like Adam Schiff?"
He does have a big head.
Ignition sequence start.
Appreciate everybody saying hi in the live chat, by the way. Even the people who may have a bit of malicious intent.
How is this possible?
Nothing too unusual about that.
Their existence cannot longer be denied.
All right. Well, a lot of the audience might be wondering why I'm wearing a collared shirt.
I see we do have 36 people watching here on Rumble. Smash that like button, repost the stream, comment in the comment section, and smash. Well, wait. Yeah, do all the things.
Which is not a normal thing for me.
I had a long day at work, guys.
On this show, it's because I'm with a congressman. One of my favorite congressmen, although you're from Missouri.
I'm honored.
No, I mean it. You seem like an angel amongst devils.
Pretty solid.
A rare,
What's up, S.
Diogenes would go around looking for an honest man.
Nah, it's all good, S.
in classical
It's all
Greece.
good.
And he wouldn't find anyone. And I think you're a rare, salt of the earth, honest man. And I think that's easy to pick up from your interviews. I think the vibe you give off is very just earnest and well intentioned, and that is the least commoditized thing in Congress and in the world right now. So I appreciate you being here.
It's an honor to be here. I'm a big fan of your podcast, of your show. I
Area 51 is a front. Area 50, Don Darkstar, Area 51 is absolutely not where the big stuff is. All right. Right. Patterson's got a lot. And the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases. That's where a lot of the juicy stuff goes on. Also, White Sands. White Sands has some interesting stuff from what I understand. Area 51 is the pop. It's not really the substance. Now, is there some stuff that might be going on there? Some experimentation? Sure. But no. Area 51 is not where all the juicy stuff is. So, yeah.
I'm subscribed.
That being said, be skeptical for sure. I'm skeptical of the stuff that like I want to be skeptical of these things because I want to make sure that they're legit and not just bullcrap. There's a page on X, UAP Wixie, which kind of pisses me off sometimes because they post clear AI garbage. And they also post some stuff that's kind of interesting and makes you scratch your head. So it's like, I don't know.
And you should know there's sometimes where I glean some ideas and I bounce them off my staff and say, we need to look into this.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that to me, that's the pinnacle, because we were talking a little before rolling, and I'm always like, why am I, sometimes the tip of the spear on certain things, at least in the open source world on UFOs. I want people in government to be following up on a lot of these things. So it's really heartening and cool to hear. And we, text occasionally and stuff too. And it's epic for me to hear that, people in charge who actually are important and have power are doing something about this.
Yeah,
Oh, you text each other. Do you ask each other what you should wear in the morning too? Sorry, I'm being a jerk.
I have more confidence in your research abilities than most of the people that are working for the government. If that gives you an idea.
Dude, if he comes out and says he's a hybrid, I won't be surprised. I won't. Nope. Look at those ears. Look at the eyes. Dude might be a gray.
Well, I guess I'll consider myself the skinniest kid at fat camp. That's a low bar, but thank you, nonetheless.
Okay, stop
I
fluffing.
want to just give people a sense. I think a lot of people have heard sound bites from you going viral on Twitter, that sort of thing. Just your kind of prehistory before running for Congress. What made you want to run for Congress?
I almost got a secondhand Shure microphone today, but sadly somebody else already took it, and they were only asking like $50 for it. That's a good deal. That's a very good deal.
What were you doing before?
I worked in software. I was a software engineer, built one of the very first patient portals in the country back in the early 2000s, and then worked as a consultant for a company called Cerner, and then later at the very end, Oracle. And so software engineer by trade, but also studied finance and realized if I was ever going to make any real money, I either need to own my own software company or go into finance. And so I became a financial advisor. So boring guy from the Midwest. That's the best way of explaining it.
We need more boring guys from the Midwest in government. And then at what point did you decide to run?
Yeah. So I would sit in my cubicle. I mean, my work environment was essentially the movie Office Space. I would sit in my cubicle each day and bang out code or lead a team of developers, and I would listen to talk radio. I'd pay attention to what's going on in politics, and a lot of things I would listen to would be things like, speeches by Milton Friedman or Thomas Sowell, and I would read their books, and get really frustrated with politicians.
Yeah.
Because I think I just have a very idealistic view of the way things should be, and was just so frustrated the way that the swamp operated and the way that even the people that I would help get elected, they would disappoint me. And so eventually I decided I've got to do it and at least give it a shot.
Yeah. So. I love that, the way you're putting that. Get involved, be the kind of man in the arena. And those two people you mentioned, Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell, have just such cutting and incisive takes that are timeless and really apply to today, and really apply to the knee-jerk reflexive reactions to people that people have around kind of the conversation, or especially around government spending. And some of the identity politics stuff, especially with Thomas Sowell, where
the spending thing is a key part. Like, why is the government spending money on this? Why do we have ATIP and AARO? Why how are these funds being used to further the cause, I guess you could say? That's my thing too. I want to know how our funds, the taxpayer funds, are being allocated. And it's like, oh, who paid for it? The government paid for it. Well, if the government paid for it, that means you paid for it if you pay taxes.
Sometimes you got to make hard decisions in government, and no one in government wants to make the hard decisions. They always want the future generations to foot the bill. And those two and people like Friedrich Hayek before them really outlined all of these philosophies, and the conversation. There's no conversation around any of this stuff like that. Like I really think of Tea Party Republicans as like the last Republicans to even be fiscally conservative. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm still that. I feel like I'm part of a dwindling group in that realm, because as you see the party become more populist and more and less.
Star Wars, saying Lance, Star Wars, keeping track of our enemies on Earth or not.
Laissez-faire is like, hands off, the government hands off approach to the market.
Yeah.
I'm truly still a free market capitalist, less government, respect the rule of law.
This system is not free market capitalism, though. What we currently have is there's a lot of corporatism involved in what we have. Yeah, generally it's capitalist, but there's a lot of social welfare for corporations, which needs to probably stop.
Fundamental conservative.
You're on your own.
I am a rare breed anymore.
You are, seriously. Okay, so and how long have you been a congressman from Missouri?
3.5 years.
Okay. And when did you get into UFOs?
When I got into Congress. So my first moment was I just gotten elected. You try to when you get in Washington D.C., they try first and foremost. You would think that they would put you or assign you to committees that actually fit your talent and your experience, but that is not how Washington D.C. works. It's a very broken environment. So I wasn't put on the Financial Services Committee or any of the committees that would have anything to do with healthcare or anything to do with software. I was put on oversight and transportation and infrastructure. But I'm trying to carve my path, trying to find a role. And I was drinking coffee in my office one morning just by myself, and I was watching the news, and I saw David Grush come on. And there was something about him that I just was inspired by, somebody that was bravely coming forward and saying that in that interview, he mentioned that he wants to talk to Congress. And I have been in office for less than 2 months, maybe 3 months. And I thought, that's me. I mean, I still have that role, like where I still have a hard time seeing myself as I'm a member of Congress.
Yeah.
But I just I thought, wait a minute, I'm a member of Congress. I might be able to do something about this. So
I do like this guy. I generally like this guy. It's not just because he's a fellow show me stater. He just seems like a decent fella, at least on this aspect. I don't know about everything. I'm not going to pretend to know the guy. But he seems kind of genuine. He seems like he comes across as a genuine guy, which means he will not gain power in politics, which is just kind of how it is.
we reached out to the studio, and was able to get a conversation with David like the next week.
Wild. That's awesome. So you say something about him kind of resonated. He seemed like just another honest,
Yeah.
and I think that is the vibe with him too. He's really this kind of team player. I think most of the colleagues kind of in his background, even working with him in kind of conventional roles, viewed him as, just very good at what he did. And then all of a sudden he's coming out. And I think it was a watershed moment for this UFO topic too, because it was a lot of quacky people before him.
There
There were some notable exceptions. I think Bob Lazar is actually really awesome and a cool guy. And a lot of these people were saying things that just felt so beyond the pale. But Grush is really like, you look at him and you're like, he, could be like a relative or something. Like he's just a normal dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's saying some pretty remarkable things.
He was, and so I thought this is worth getting, him coming forward bravely and saying the things that he was saying, and just there's a part of me that really abhors and hates a government that thinks that has the arrogance to think that it shouldn't tell its people what's really going on, and that probably is somewhere in my id of that drives me crazy, and probably is what's driving me in this whole topic.
Especially when it comes to the nature of reality, like they really shouldn't have a monopoly over that. If it's like
Exactly.
some sort of little tactical trade secret warfare advantage, in the nuclear program. Okay, I'm pro keeping that classified.
Right.
But when it comes to this sort of stuff, like, we're not alone, or, maybe there's something off with our physics that like academics should be teaching. Like that seems pretty fundamental.
It does. Like to me,
And we're supposed to be, Hamburglar. We're supposed to be, but it seems like they've separated. Seems like the government is separate from the people, and it's not supposed to be that way.
if somebody's, as I was sitting on a plane on a tarmac once for 3 hours sweating and not able to move because of an air traffic control situation, the thought came across to me that if we discover that our government has held on to anti-gravitic information from the scientific community, I'm going to be really pissed.
Yeah, you should be. And as somebody who, I've gone pretty deep on the anti-gravity stuff. I think they are. I really do. I think they are. I think, I always bring up this guy, Thomas Townsend Brown, who,
Yes.
I think made really real world updates in the world of gravity.
Mhm.
There's an FBI document from the 40s on him that says he is the lead radar scientist in the entire Navy. He knows more about radar than anyone in the Navy.
Let's pause on this. Subject formerly a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Naval Reserve, a confessed homosexual who submitted his resignation. Confess your homosexuality from U.S. Navy and was radar and educational officer, Atlantic Fleet School Naval Operating Base, Norfolk, Virginia, and was reported to know more about radar detection than any individual in the U.S. Navy. Dang. And he had to resign because he liked dick. That's bad. Subject has been employed by Vega Aircraft Corp., Burbank, California, since 11/21/42 as occupation research engineer. No indication that subject has attempted to utilize his knowledge of radar detection to the detriment of this country. Just being gay.
And then now I think we have pretty good evidence that his work made it into the B-2 stealth bomber. So you have 2 out of the 3 things that people used to deny that are now kind of hard to deny.
Mhm.
And then the number 3 thing is like he's talking about, merging electromagnetism and gravity in some way in this form of electrogravitics. I don't think he's lying.
I think it's interesting that people haven't really done a whole lot of deep diving into his research.
Yeah.
Or the other thing that's interesting is you have these other scientists that went missing that were doing it. You had Amy Eskridge,
Yeah.
who went missing.
Her story is sketchy as hell. Yeah.
And
I do think they targeted her with a directed energy weapon. DEW. The deer.
I'm sorry, she committed suicide supposedly.
Committed
Doubt it.
suicide. Yeah, committed suicide, but claimed that people were going after her with
Right.
directed energy, showing burns on her hands at the end
Yeah.
of her life.
I found out that I was being physically surveilled. There's this weird fucking Lexus, and it has tinted windows that are not street legal. My hands have been burned to hell and back as I've been typing. Because you can beam me through there and through there.
And her father was a NASA scientist who was interested in gravity modification. His name was Richard Eskridge. So strange.
Yeah. It is really strange. Her story is heartbreaking whenever you
Yeah.
see the interviews, and she was really calling for help as far as feeling threatened, feeling like people were coming after her.
I do think that I'm fairly sure she even said if I end up if it comes out that I ended myself, I didn't. Somebody else did that. I think she's one of the ones that said that.
That she felt like she needed to come forward with what she knew quickly. And then you had the weird case of, I think the other woman was Ning Li.
Ning Li. Yeah.
And who just kind of dropped off the map for a period of a few years. And then suddenly there was an obituary.
That's right. And this is going to come full circle because Ning Li, really interesting case where
Was she at the
using
JPL,
solid
Jet Propulsion
state
Lab?
superconductors, rotating them really fast.
Okay, solid state superconductors. Okay.
And she basically said they emitted these gravitons that engaged in gravitational shielding. And so you would get weight reduction for anything above the superconductor, which you shouldn't get weight reduction. The thing shouldn't lose weight.
Right.
That means gravity is being modified somehow. It's really kind of crazy. And then she starts a company. It's literally called Anti-Gravity LLC.
And people invest with her too. Like her colleagues apparently believed in it enough that they were putting their own money behind it.
They're all putting their money behind it. And she's at University of Alabama, Huntsville. And the chair of her physics department is a guy named Larry Smalley. And he's so convinced that the thing works that he leaves his job to work for her. So then you have all these people being like, oh, it's fake. She wasn't doing that. She didn't, actually get any sort of effect. And that's obviously BS. And then
I mean, she was doing something that was enough to pull legit folks her way.
She tragically gets hit by a car and dies of dementia years later. But she really went silent in that first period when she gets that contract for her company.
Right.
And the whole story is very strange. And this is going to come full circle because you now are investigating MITRE Corporation as possibly being involved with UFOs. The last time Ning Li really spoke in a public way on record about her anti-gravity work was at a MITRE conference I don't know if you're aware of this.
Yeah, I met her, and I did sit down and I interviewed her. And this was at a conference in 2003, just outside of Washington, D.C., run by them or overseen by the MITRE Corporation. And it was looking at, I think, high frequency gravitational waves. She chaired one of the sessions. I talked to her afterwards about it all. And then I don't know sort of how soon after that it was that she sort of went off grid. It was certainly probably about within a year that she just disappeared.
I didn't know that it was that conference.
Yes. Yeah, and they used to convene all sorts of scientists on exotic science and stuff, and it felt very like a, maybe a limited hangout or something, see what people know. And
Yeah. That is interesting to know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's something that we should probably look into.
I think so. Well, they're a federally
Wait a
funded
second.
research and development
Really quick,
center, as you
just
know,
saw
which
this.
is technically
Just saw this. Dang, apparently the U.S. Senate voted 50-46 to block Netanyahu's attempted coup plan to merge with the U.S. military, which is what it was. It was pretty much merging the U.S. and the Israeli military because we have to make sure we are partners for life, joined at the hip. Every day, Iran gets closer to a nuclear weapon. No.
a nonprofit. They're kind of exempt from a lot of the oversight and scrutiny that, normal government institutions would be. And they keep coming up when it comes to
They do.
UFO lore, UFO oversight. Do you think they have something maybe to do with the UFO legacy program?
I think that there's enough rhetoric and enough speculation that it warrants us deep diving into MITRE. I think if you see my work lately, we're really trying to
on MITRE. I have not done a deep dive or really much research into MITRE, but I have heard it mentioned frequently in the like UFO, UAP, alien, I want to say I don't want to say community. It sounds gay. But the community, the sphere. There we go. The sphere, the UFO, UAP, alien sphere. MITRE has been mentioned quite a few times, so I probably should do a deep dive into them. That'd be kind of cool.
take a deep dive into these FFRDCs
Mhm.
because it seems like, and honestly, historically, when you look back at their formation, they all kind of were stood up around just after the Manhattan Project, right? So you have the Manhattan Project, that information gets leaked. Russia suddenly now has the information of how to build a nuclear bomb. And I think that our federal government learned from those lessons and decided we're going to go about this a different way. So they spun up all these quasi private entities that, so an FFRDC, really their only client is the federal government.
Yep.
But yet they get the benefit of acting like they're a private business.
And it's really like, I think the cowboy intelligence world, which existed in the 40s and 50s, I think still exists in whispers in these FFRDCs, because it's these guys who, if you're GS-15 in the government, you're not getting paid as much as you want. You probably have some restrictions on what you can and can't do. These guys in these FFRDCs, they're subject matter experts. They can get paid a whole lot. They can dual hat as all sorts of things. They can consult for NASA, NRO, I'll do all these things at once. And then, it seems like the perfect sort of cover for UFO activities. And specifically, you have Aerospace Corporation constantly coming up in the UFO conversation. I believe there was even a WikiLeaks email between John Podesta and an IT contractor there about fast walkers. And so, and they always come in. Eric Davis, of course, worked for Aerospace Corporation. And then the Institute for Defense Analysis was an FFRDC back in the day, and Harold Malmgren was there, and he even said on record that was a not official cover for like what I was actually doing for the National Security Council.
Yeah.
So it feels like just this place you work at that's an excuse to kind of do a bunch of other stuff and possibly UFO related as well.
Yeah, and so we actually sent a letter early on to Aerospace Corp and the Oversight Committee from my role to be able to get them to come in and answer some questions, and they actually responded, and they sent two people from their executive team, but of course they knew nothing. They absolutely. So we got them in a skiff. They have no idea what of any kind of UFOs or reverse engineering or anything like that. So that was the beginning, but that was under the Biden administration that we had that interview. I think we're probably going to reach out to them again with more specific, detailed questions, because I think a lot of these government entities, even at like the agency, like the CIA, I think that all of these programs, a lot of times these people are coming in, they're temporary workers. They come into the role, maybe they do enough deep digging into to find out what did the person in my role do decades ago. But let me ask, most people in any other job don't really do that. They don't look back and say, what did the person in my role do decades and decades ago? So I think that we're in a time in which it has been really, if it's true, that information has been so pulled in and compartmentalized that a lot of the people that are now in those roles, unless they really do some digging, are not going to find it. So I think that's why we have to crowdsource it. We have to do the work of getting the details and then giving it to these people who are in a position of authority and saying, no, you need to go look for a file that's called XYZ, dated this date, right? That contains this. And that's where you're seeing my office is putting out a lot of these interrogative letters to MITRE, to Aerospace Corp, to MIT Lincoln Labs.
Any specific examples of what you're asking for from any of these organizations?
Yes. So MIT Lincoln Labs, we found out that there was a reel-to-reel audio file from way back in the 40s. I'm sorry, it's like 1952, where you have a senior official with the Department of Defense briefing scientists at MIT about about saucers.
Whoa.
Right. And so we found out that we got word that there was an audio file that existed, maybe even more documentation. So we sent an interrogative.
Like this is interesting for sure. This is great. I am ready for concrete in your face. Here it is. And the latest drop was good. Oddly coincided with the Iran stuff ramping back up. Not sure what that's all about, but we need more. Give me more. I want to see the bodies at this point.
Of directly demanding that be retained and that we get access to that audio. And that is currently, they responded that they did have that and that they are now processing it for us to be able to at least listen to the skiff. And my hope is to get it disclosed.
Whoa. So that was classified. And you had the senior DOD official in 1952, presumably around the, DC flyover, maybe. I don't know, in July of
it is, exactly.
Wow. Where, you had saucers on the White House lawn was the sort of, headline, newspaper headline. That's fascinating. Well, I can't wait to see what comes of that. So you think you're hopeful that will get declassified?
I am. I think that the fact that they've admitted that it does exist is now, okay, now we know it's there.
Yeah.
So let's get it.
Any other examples of specific things you're querying?
So after the Varginha case, when those individuals from Brazil came over, I was there with James Fox and Leslie Keene, and we were hearing from these individuals. After the meeting, I ran into some of the folks from the FBI that are actually very much want to look into this. And they said, sir, if you want us to look into this, if you'll write a letter, we'd be happy to jump on this. And so we wrote a letter very specifically asking for details of that. And that's something that the FBI can look and sink their teeth into, right? If the reports are accurate, that means that there's flight records. That means that there's some documents that they could actually go after.
Yeah, well, there was, I know James Fox did this event in D.C. with, 3 of the key witnesses from the Varginha event, and I know you were kind of a co-sponsor of the event. You were there.
The truth is, if there's any government that's holding information about the knowledge of whether or not we are alone or not alone in the universe, that is not for any government, no matter how powerful it is, to withhold from the rest of humanity. Yeah, it was the Roswell of Brazil event of Brazil. So many eyewitnesses. And so it gives us an opportunity to try to get that information. And the fact that Brazil is, reaching out and saying that they want to cooperate with the United States, they want to, come alongside us and be open and transparent as well. I think it's good. It's good that the United States is leading this, because I'm seeing other nations come forward and reach out to our office. I've had meetings with people from Japan.
Yeah, I was just about to say Japan. I've not seen this yet, guys. This so South America's got a sordid history with UFO stuff and aliens, and honestly, there's been a lot of fake stuff out of South America, but and Central America, but there is some very interesting stuff too. But Japan apparently has a whole damn program. Who knows what the Russians have, honestly, because they've been in this stuff. The Germans, oh my gosh, if we could get into the stuff that the Germans were into, if we could take a look at some of the guys, really quick, if you've done any bit of research into what the Nazis were doing, in Nazi Germany, they were advancing technologically in ways that I don't think they should have been able to do. I think I don't know if they recovered something, or if they, with their occult meddlings, if they tapped into something, some type of knowledge that they shouldn't have been able to access with whatever methods they were using. But I think if we got into the full history of what the Nazis were doing, I think we'd be honestly a lot more shocked than we are. I think that there was some really, really, hell, and with Operation Paperclip, we got a lot of their scientists over here. So I don't know. You call that thing, you think Mini Mangala for a reason. We do not need to go there. It's interesting. It's very interesting. They, I don't know. I think there was some stuff that we're never going to know about. Masuda no Wafune? The rock ship of Masuda, Japan.
It's yesterday or the day before, I had a meeting with two members of parliament from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are other nations that are seeing the work that the United States is demonstrating, and hopefully that encourages them to also come forward.
Yeah. I just got back from Brazil, actually, where I interviewed a current presidential candidate and former defense minister, Aldo Rebelo.
Yeah.
And he was basically like, yeah, I have no reason to doubt that, I think Virginia happened. You said that fundamentally you do think something happened in Virginia in 1996.
Believing that a phenomenon like this exists. Of course. Because these were phenomena that had the testimony of totally credible witnesses.
And it was actually kind of interesting. My kind of ex-post analysis on the whole thing is, he said, I asked him, I was like, when you were defense minister, did you see anything specifically around Virginia, Colares? These are things that obviously, I think there's so much overwhelming evidence in the open source world that you actually have to be dogmatic and unreasonable not to say that nothing happened, right? So that's what he was saying, essentially, in the interview, is like, yeah, like, I don't have access to classified info necessarily.
Like, with the stuff that's out there at this point, you kind of got to be willfully closed off. I'm not saying that I know what the stuff is, but there's clearly some stuff going on that we're not 100% sure, what it is
about this. But, I think this happened. I think you have to be unreasonable to say that it didn't happen. But then it was interesting. We got James Fox, this amazing documentarian who's documented the Virginia case more than...
I have not seen his documentary yet. I think Harry Toe was talking that up the other day.
Anybody in his movie Moment of Contact. We got him on the phone.
Moment of Contact.
And he's talking to Aldo, and he's asking about the body being transported back and forth to the U.S. and the U.S. involvement. And Rebelo goes, well, I can't say anything that's classified.
We have pretty good testimony from a number of witnesses on the Brazilian side that the entities, the ET, went back to America, but we don't know what happened to the craft itself. Has he heard any rumors of where the craft went?
The information that's held by the Ministry of Defense is strictly classified.
So I felt like
Oh, that's
there's a little
that's
bit of a tell that,
yeah.
like, you know, and I
That's-
don't knock the guy at all. And, you know,
That's essentially saying I can neither confirm nor deny that claim, which is usually confirming the claim. Boy, it is raining again. I was going to try to weed eat tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to happen.
yeah, I think it would be very bad for him if he were to reveal anything classified. So, you know, I'm not blaming him. I think the fact that he made the statements he did is fantastic, but I think he knew more than met the eye was my takeaway.
Yeah. But those very specific, you know, incidents are things that we can really get into.
Yeah.
And really kind of, I think I'm done kind of sending these broad letters. That's why the meeting with Aerospace Corp was such a nothing burger. So I think that if we can give them very specific details, and then you can find people that I think a lot of them will be surprised.
Yeah.
When they go digging and they actually find it.
Can I send you a request for something with
Absolutely.
So with Aerospace Corp, I don't know if you're familiar with this book, American Cosmic. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's an amazing book. It's by a religious studies professor who actually wrote about Catholicism before she got into UFOs. She wrote a book about purgatory. And then she started to look into kind of divine experiences from brothers, nuns, and
Which purgatory is not biblical. I mean, it mentions something somewhere about a purging of sins, and but it's yeah, the Catholic Church kind of hung on to that, and I mean, it is an interesting thought that as a soul you would have a like somewhere you would go to do like essentially more studying or more. I don't think I fully buy that. And like I've said before, I'm Catholic, but I'm kind of Catholic light in a lot of ways. Honestly, I think you'd consider me an Augsburg Catholic. I don't really recognize the Pope. Could do without the guy.
Saints.
And the whole Big C Catholic Church makes me grumpy because they've done bad things. And I like my small C Catholic Church. What is up, Hair Juicer 3000? Not to be confused with the Hair Juicer 1000 or 2000. No. 3000. Thanks for being here.
The Catholic Church, and things like St. Francis of Assisi seeing sort of the flaming torch on the mountain in Mount Laverne, Italy. And she was like, whoa, a lot of these actually look like, you know, what John Mack, the Harvard psychiatrist, is looking into with modern abductions in the 90s.
Yeah.
And she ends up going down this rabbit hole, and she meets this guy who's since been outed, not in her book but by other people. And his name is Tim Taylor. And he is at Aerospace Corporation, but he's a NASA mission controller. So he's kind of one of these sort of dual-hatted guys. And he tells her openly, I'm part of a secret space program. He actually takes her and Stanford professor Gary Nolan to a crash site where they look at material.
Oh, that's where Gary got that material. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. This like frog skin material. Gary also gets material that he studies from Jacques Vallée and stuff. But yeah, so really fascinating guy. And he's claiming that he works like in kind of adjusting timelines, which sounds nuts. But if you watch Disclosure Day and maybe they're hiding truth and fiction, that's kind of what the movie's about. And he just seems like this fascinating guy. And I think he was in touch with certain members of the UAPTF, which is obviously responsible for a lot of modern disclosure, you know.
Government loves acronyms.
Yeah, it's
GLA.
interesting. Like I think I'd love to know can you get him to come out and maybe come on the show, or you know, make a statement or something.
Yeah, give me the details, and we'll be happy to get our team on it.
We can follow up. Yeah, he seems like a fascinating guy. You've had some really interesting experiences where you've and this was kind of an interesting moment in the Weaponized podcast you did, where Jeremy kind of pressed and was like, you went to Pax River, and you were like, oh, well, that's not on record yet.
Guys, I can't really, I have not publicly said that I've taken the trip to Pax River at this time. And so,
okay. Can you say anything more about that?
I mean, it's now pretty much out there that I did go to Pax River. That was.
What is Pax River for the audience?
I mean, it's short for Patuxent River. It's a it's basically the Navy's base that's that they do experimentation. It's kind of their research. They've where
What do
they
they call it?
test
Pax River.
their aircraft.
Yep.
And so it was a short drive per se. It was at least just a drive. We didn't have to fly there from DC. So this all came from a request that I'd made from the White House, and I could tell you that story if you're interested. But that's probably one of the more. It goes back.
You know, guys, I might be hearing hail. Cool thing about a tin roof is you can generally tell when it's hailing. Maybe. I do love the sound of downpour on a tin roof. If you've never experienced it, it's nice.
To a vote that was happening, the One Big Beautiful Bill,
Mm-hmm.
or the Working Families Tax Cut Act, whatever you want to call it. The day of that vote, we were kind of, as a fiscal conservative, someone who's really cares about the debt and the deficit, I was worried about how we might impact that with extending these tax cuts. And so I was fighting for every kind of pay forward that I could, cost cutting measures that I could get in order to pay for these tax cuts. So it was a long day of negotiations. I mean, a long, long day to the point where we were negotiating until 2 a.m.
Whoa.
And to this day, Trump calls our group like the 3 a.m. caucus. Not exactly in a lovingly way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, look, I didn't go up there to make everybody in DC happy. I went up there to try to save the country.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But in the course of that really long day, the White House staff, which I don't readily have access to, were there. And I said, in a moment of downtime, I said, hey, while I got you, can I ask you some questions? And I said, we're getting nowhere in oversight. We're asked to investigate this topic of UFOs and UAPs, and we're getting really nowhere. Everywhere we go, we're getting, we're hitting a dead end. We're not able to have enough authority to get any information. And he said, well, what do you want? And I said, this has nothing to do with my vote, how I will vote on this bill. While you're here, I want to vent at you. And he said, well, then what would you like? And I said, well, if you're asking, I'd like a full briefing, the same White House level briefing that the president gets on this topic. I want to be able to go to all these sites that we keep hearing about. And he said, he said, which locations? And I started with Pax River, Whiteman Air Force Base. I want to go to Area 51, Groom Lake, S4, all of that stuff.
I forgot about
Have you been to
Groom
all
Lake.
those places?
No.
Okay.
And so the first
Groom Lake is Area
location
51.
that was kind of a low-hanging fruit was Pax River.
Yeah.
But in general, so I made that request. The guy that I made the request to, White House staffer, was grinning. And at that point, there's still a stigma. There's still, and I thought, oh, he's making fun of me. And I said, why are you grinning? I mean, I'm sorry if you think this is funny. He said, no. He said, I want to go with you. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And so he took that request back. And a week later, a liaison from the Department of Defense, now the Department of War, was in my office saying that he was
I've heard him tell this story a couple times. It's not the first time I've heard that.
told from the White House to make it happen.
Wow.
And so to me, that was remarkable. If you think about it, Barry Goldwater asked to go look at some of this stuff when he was senator and was turned down.
Yeah,
Or maybe
he's,
I
in
watched
fact,
the clip.
He specifically said he asked Curtis LeMay to see the Blue Room at Wright Pat, and Curtis LeMay cussed him out of the room.
I called Curtis LeMay and I said, General, I know we have a room at Wright-Patterson where you put all this secret stuff. Can I go in there? I've never heard him get mad, but he got madder than hell at me. Cussed me out, said, don't ever ask me that question again.
So I'm, we're having to work out the logistics, but that's my request, is to see that. And I'm going to keep hounding
The
at
Blue
the
Room.
administration and using whatever points of leverage that I can to get in that room.
And did you see a UFO there, like a saucer and a hangar sort of thing?
No, but if anything, what I was able to confirm is that some of the narrative that has been around what Pax River, its role in the UFO or UAP like history, I was able to actually be on site and see the facility that would have been that facility that they were going to transfer from Lockheed Martin to Bigelow Airspace. And I'll tell you, just being there and seeing it, if you were ever going to do a transfer, it would be logistically the perfect venue to do that.
And did you see anything exotic where you're like, what is that? I don't know what that is.
I didn't see anything wildly exotic, but I saw some really cool stuff.
Okay.
Our government's doing some really cool things.
Did you say anything more?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Pax River is really interesting because in 2018, there's a Navy scientist named Salvatore Pais.
I met Salvatore Pais there.
That's cool. So he's amazing because, these patents, these Navy patents involve
Piezoelectric?
inertial mass reduction,
Yes.
high frequency gravitational waves,
Yes.
and piezoelectric superconductors, room temperature superconductors. Basically, all the things that you would need to make a UFO fly,
Right.
the creme de la creme of exotic physics.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Okay, so that's a part of the story. When I made that request, once they greenlit that venue, we were very specific and saying we want to see this location, and then I said I want to talk with Salvatore Pais, and
Smart.
so I was surprised that they made that happen. We were able to have a meeting with him, and most of the people there, you could tell they didn't have a clue what I was going to ask. We started talking about his patents, going down the list of the patents, asking, have you guys, have these been put into any test form? And they admitted that one of them that they did, I believe it's the anti-gravitic one, but they weren't able to have any definitive results.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that's all. That's the whole story there. I just kind of doubt that.
Now, Salvatore Pais says that was not built to his specifications, which means, and I'm not putting words in his mouth, but I picked up that
sabotage.
Had they built it exactly the way that he had designed it, they probably would have had a more definitive result.
Whoa!
But because it wasn't definitive, they apparently didn't move on with it. That's what they said.
They sabotaged
it.
it.
Got kind of messed with too.
Yeah, it also seems like they've put him in a different role. And he seems very scared to talk to anybody.
Every time I communicate with him, it's very cloak and dagger, It's
well, you got to think, if you have a revolutionary method of transport that would essentially get rid of dependence on fossil fuels, which fossil fuels I think is a misnomer. I don't think that's how oil is probably made. I think we were told that in school, but probably not actually how it happens. But I could just be wrong. Maybe I'm just being mistrustful of authority sources. But I think it's I think if you are a scientist that has the ability to produce something that could destroy an entire industry, and not just for fuels, I mean primarily the fuel aspect, but if you could figure out a way to replace some of our products, right? We have so many petroleum-based products. This little plastic bucket here, the fucket bucket, the ducket fucket bucket. It would be quite abrasive to the people in those industries. So
he's often feels kind of it's like a fearful vibe.
Yeah.
And there was even a moment I interviewed him, and it was really hard to get the interview. We did in some janky motel near Pax River, and one of the cameras broke down and the audio sucked. But I got to a certain level of the science where he freaked out and he goes, "Jesse, stop right there. Just stop asking. I know you're curious, but and I was like, okay. And I kind of stood down.
Damn.
Let's get a little, because you hit the Schwinger limit, break space time. What happens vis-a-vis this fifth dimension?
We'll not touch on that. Leave it there, Jesse. Trust me on that. Leave it there.
We nerded out about the science a little bit, and I'm just like a hobbyist on trying to understand quantum physics and that kind of stuff. But I could tell that the only person in the room that was tracking with Dr. Pais was Dr. Kozlowski, John Kozlowski, who was there.
All-domain
and
anomaly
so he
resolution
was
office,
tracking.
ARO.
I was barely keeping up. But most of everybody else that was in that room walked out of there not understanding anything that we were talking about.
Interesting. Yeah, well, that's cool that you have the instincts to know that Kozlowski at least is tracking, the content. What do you think of him? So he's the new, for context for people, the All Domain Anomalies Resolution Office is kind of the modern Project Blue Book. I'm not even saying that necessarily as, with the connotation of
Mm.
Project Blue Book, but it's the official Pentagon investigation program. It does have Arrow has a bad connotation or gets a bad rap because of this guy Sean Kirkpatrick, who just completely dismissed
Garbage.
all cases. In certain cases, he seemed like a bad actor, and like he seemed like he was gathering info just to destroy it or something, or not do anything with it. But what do you think about John Kozlowski is the new director? What do you think of him?
Yeah, he's a breath of fresh air compared to Sean.
Okay.
And I don't have anything against Sean personally. I was, when you're a member of Congress and you're going into a SCIF and they're giving a long presentation and it feels like it's taking forever to get to the actual like nuts and bolts of what they're there for. And then once they actually start presenting, it was literally a slideshow of, we looked into this and this was like, here's what it was, right? This was a balloon. This is a flock of birds. This is, a tent across the horizon. And at some point you realize they're not going to show you anything that they haven't definitively determined is not.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It makes total sense. I even think it's funny to go back and look at the Condon Committee reports, which, ended up saying Blue Book was a waste of time, the Air Force project with J. Allen Hynek, where they were looking at UFOs. And if you look at that report, you actually look at the substance, over 30% of cases were totally still unidentified. Same thing with Arrow. So Kirkpatrick will come out and say, we never found any evidence of extraterrestrials. Well, first of all, extraterrestrials is an analytical overlay. It's a conclusion. It doesn't mean you've found things that are really anomalous and worthy of further inquiry. So like the language is like kind of manipulated in a very specific sort of way. And then second of all, if you actually look at the data, again, I think it's over 25%, definitely over 25%, maybe over 30%. In Arrow's case, I think it might be like 34% of cases are still unidentified.
I'm not sure about that percentage, but definitely when we pushed them on it and said, how many of these, instead of showing us the ones that you have, eliminated, why don't you show us the ones that you're still researching and that you haven't figured out yet, the mysterious ones? And that that was not something that Sean was going to do.
No.
And so it wasn't until John came in that we were able to actually get that request completed.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that's truly, clearly of a variety and interesting and worthy of further investigation is the kind of nuclear connection stuff. And like you have all these guys, you have a great book by Robert Hastings called UFOs and Nukes. He's a meticulous, very not fantastical, flowery research. He doesn't jump to any sort of conclusions. And you have all these guys, almost 170 of them coming out, and they have, they're very often cleared to things, and they're on what's called the PRP program, where they have to report if they're taking, any sort of medication because they're around our nukes. Right. And they're all saying that our nuclear missiles are getting shut down and tampered with, and they're flyovers, and they're not lying. And then we have to have some sensor data along with that. And like, what is Kirkpatrick doing? And then you find out that Kirkpatrick worked with Oak Ridge, and he won a Brookhaven National Labs award at the age of 17. And it's like, oh, you might be just compromised. Like you might be like on the payroll of like the national labs and these nuclear programs. Like that data set is obviously an important data set to look into. And you can, I don't know, I'm about to have Michael Shermer on, who's, part of this UAP White House advisory panel.
Shermer is the skeptic, and he's almost so stubbornly skeptical that he's that was mean. Because he's an intelligent individual from what I've seen in his discussions. But it's almost sad how directly opposed to the possibility of something being unexplained that man is. I'm all for looking for a simple explanation, if there is one. But when you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole and saying, well, obviously it's obviously just, gas or a balloon, or it's like, bro, not all the time. Sometimes, sure, Shermer, it could be, but that doesn't mean that you can just explain everything. And it's almost like it's almost fake how opposed to the possibility of something being unexplained he is. It's like that's a very high sense of self to think that you can explain every single thing.
And he's a skeptic, and I'm going to debate him. And I don't think
the clips I've seen have been kind of interesting. I don't know if it'd be worth watching. I mean, maybe not on a stream. I might watch it just for the hay of it when I'm mowing or something, but
have anything
listen to it while I'm mowing.
Thing to say about that data set. I don't think Neil deGrasse Tyson can say anything about that. I mean, it's clearly interesting.
It is. I'm interested to see how this new UAP group is formed and what how they're going to function. I've had then you have this scientific advisory group that Avi Loeb is leading.
Yeah, what do you think of that whole thing?
I was hoping that there would be some more advanced, like, theoretical physicists.
Yep. Yeah.
I think having some people that are like studying particle physics would be helpful.
Yeah.
On that, but I'm sure that they're still fleshing it out.
Mhm.
Hopefully they'll add some more talent to that group. I think what's really interesting is they've added some people that are like biologists or people that are studying genetics. That's fascinating.
Yeah, what are you trying to say? Why is that irrelevant,
I mean, if they feel the need to have people on the team that do that, that means that there may be something that they know that they're going to have to research.
Yeah, I'm saying what are they trying to say by, appointing those people with those sorts of specialties? And I think you had Lauren Boebert, another congressman, to ask about hybrids. Do you remember this?
I don't remember when she asked about it, but I'm sure she did.
She asked about hybrids, and it was just a really weird moment in the
Matt Gaetz
congressional
too.
testimony.
There are rumors that have come up to the Hill of a secretive project within the Department of Defense involving the manipulation of human genetics with what is described as non-human genetic material, potentially for the enhancement of human capabilities, hybrids. Are any of you familiar with?
See, what they're doing is they're making these alien human chimeras. You thought pig human chimeras were the only ones you had to worry about. No, these Greys, they're taking them in the Nordics and they're splicing them with our human DNA, and it's breaking down society.
With that, yes or no?
No, ma'am.
I am not, ma'am.
I'm not.
No, ma'am.
And I think Matt Gaetz has made a couple of statements to this effect.
He did. He absolutely did. He said that there was a military brass person. He didn't describe their rank or anything, but that came into his office and told him about hybrids.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication.
How do we parse any of this stuff? I mean, you have, Tim Burchett, from Tennessee as well, saying that we have 5 hot spots, under the oceans.
We have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas.
Yeah.
And he's, of course, I want to be clear, Tim Burchett was told this, and that's what he's saying. He was.
Well, I just want to make sure everyone's aware of what's going on. Dadgummit, you have a right to know what ET is doing in your neck of the woods.
Told this.
Thank you for sending me here.
But it seems like they're.
I love Tim Burchett. He's great.
Bunch of guys running around talking to congressmen like yourselves and saying these really wild things, and then the congressmen are, they're just relaying what was said to them, but you end up with this sort of everything is everything. What's going on?
So I try to be really cautious whenever I'm being asked about things, and say, this is only, I don't necessarily believe this. I don't have any evidence of this, but this is what was told to me.
Yes, you always do that. Yeah.
And you have to do that because there's some really crazy things that are said. And oftentimes when those people are in my office, I will jump to, okay, where are the receipts? Like,
Yeah.
what evidence do you have? Do you have any, anything whatsoever?
What's
that
the
I can track?
craziest thing that's ever been told to you? You can leave the person totally anonymous. When we first started selling merchandise, it actually feels buys a and O-T, Jesse.
Yep.
Okay. What's the
That I can track.
craziest thing that's ever been told to you? You can leave the person totally anonymous.
Well, I don't want to insult people.
Okay, yeah, that's fair
Right?
enough.
I don't
Well,
want
no, I don't.
people-
When I say crazy, I mean like wild as far as its impact.
I think that when we get into the whole discussion about people using consciousness to like call in UAPs
Mhm.
or to communicate, when I talk to people that are saying that they receive a download or they receive messages mentally, look, I don't say that these people are complete liars, and I think most of the people that are talking to me absolutely believe what they're saying. I just have not. Oftentimes, they're lacking the evidence, the proof.
Have you ever said, "Well, why don't you take me out to the field and we'll call something in," or something
I
like
did.
that? You did do that.
I did.
And what
Yes.
happened?
So one night, there was a group, and I think it was like right after a hearing or something like that. There was a group of people that were all texting me.
Mhm.
I mean, all these people that I've made contact with within the UAP community,
Mhm.
they were all texting me, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And finally, I just said, "Let's meet at this restaurant." And I just sent it to all of these people. And so just put together a random group of people. And one of them was Chris Bledsoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd never met him before. People in the group said, they explained, and he explained that he was able to do that. And so I had been in a meeting with another group that Greer had brought, and I had asked the same question. So we were actually at dinner, and I'd asked that question. They said, "Well, this is not the best place to do that here in Washington, D.C. If you come out to this property, maybe we could make that happen." So the answer was no at that point. But when I asked Chris Bledsoe, the way I asked was, "You say this, this happens all the time. Where does it happen?" And he said, "What do you mean?" I go, "Like over the ocean, over water? Does there have to be a lake involved?" And he said, "No, pretty much anywhere." And I said, "It's like in the country or in a city?" And he said, "No, pretty much anywhere." I said, "What about here? What about right now? How about tonight after dinner?" And he agreed to do it. So we went out on the Capitol lawn, and he did his thing, and I kind of just politely, quietly sat and waited, and it was getting late into the evening, and eventually, after a while, it didn't, nothing happened, and so I just
Aw.
said, "Guys, I gotta get
Failure to
to go to
perform.
bed." So, I'm not trying to say that to
He
say
needed
anything negative about him. I'm
he
just saying that,
needed
yeah, there had been moments where
he couldn't get his psionic abilities up, guys. He needed Sciagra. Sciagra. When your psionic aptitude isn't what it used to be, Sciagra, it'll get it up. And it'll bring those orbs down.
had that opportunity, and I said, "Let's do it. Let's do
Yeah,
it right
yeah.
now." Now, they apparently went back to the same spot a few weeks later and did the exact same thing without me there, and then they were able to film dots in the sky that were
Whoa.
moving. So,
Congressman, you're ruining it. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
well,
You're hurting the signal.
right. And that was kind of the impression that they'd given me, is that
No, I
that
was kidding.
I was such a skeptic and a doubter that I was kind of spoiling this.
Ah.
Does that make, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it does, but I think you gotta be a skeptic, or at least agnostic. Have you seen a UFO in the sky?
No.
At any point in your life? Okay.
No.
Interesting.
I would love to.
Come
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Dex-
yeah.
So
yeah.
if you are a hybrid and you see this video and you've got a UAP, come into my office, come visit me. I'd be happy to. meet you.
What's the
I'll take him somewhere. Get your flashy diamond over at Locals. There you go. Look at that. The dozerden.locals.com. You can subscribe for the entire year and get 2 months free. That's right, $50 for the entire year. Or $5 a month if you want to do it a little bit more short term. It's one of the most free speech live chats on the interweb. And guys, don't forget to smash that like, follow, and repost. Bacon thumb. Bacon thumb. Bacon thumb. Thanks, Mod King.
the thing that you've heard in one of these kind of contexts of people hitting you up? They say they have information that is the combination of kind of the most interesting and impactful, but seemingly like maybe there's some evidence for it.
I would say the most remarkable thing that happened was you had this transition with, and I think Tulsi did a great job setting up what was called the DIG, the Directors Initiative Group. And she had these teams that are investigating several things. One of them being UFOs, UAPs. And I think that was probably one of the lower priorities of the group, but they were doing that research and they really didn't dedicate a lot of resources to it. They had one guy basically. And I think he got discouraged pretty quickly. Or not quickly. He really threw himself into it for a few years and then got discouraged. And then as he was transitioning out, they had brought me in and briefed me about what they had accomplished. And then a few months later, they said, "Sir, we need to bring you back in." They actually reached out to me and said, "We would like for you to come back in, and we want to brief you because things have changed." So they brought me in and they told me about the event that happened in the Western United States. People from Tulsi's team were actually on site for this. It was at one of our U.S. military installations. There was people from the intelligence community there, senior intelligence officials. They actually personally encountered these UAP.
Whoa!
And they gave me that in a briefing. I think I was the first elected official to get that briefing.
Nice.
And so they said, "Sir, we're pretty much approached this topic the same way that you have, very skeptical, and but we feel like we have a job to go out and investigate this." And this event has completely changed everything because now we know that there is something there. We just don't know what it is. And you can read about it in the recent releases. It's kind of buried at the end.
Oh, interesting.
Ironically,
so what if we can talk about it now?
Yeah, so I can talk about it now. For the longest time, I couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's in that release. It describes from their perspective the intelligence people that were there, and there's two
Where
different
is it?
reports. I can't say which specific
Okay, so
location.
that wasn't released.
I think they don't want to have another Area 51 where they have people like storming the location. But it was at the end of the day, what they have released is that pretty much what the narrative that they told me that they were out there. They were there because there had been previous reports, so they were just like they were on site. They were going around looking at any kind of debris that they saw or anything that was out in the desert, and they had landed a helicopter and they got a call that the radar had picked up several UAPs. So they jump in the helicopter, they go to the location, and what they interact with are basically glowing orbs. Those orbs that have been described, whether they're called plasmoids, whatever you want to call them, they're like 3 meters in diameter, sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger, and they have different shades of color that they glow in, but they are some type of spherical, nebulous, what's described as like a ball of plasma. One would think a ball of plasma would look like. I don't think anybody's ever touched one to know that it's like superheated material or anything, but it definitely was messing with the helicopter when it got there. They operated intelligently, and then at one point there were some F-16s that were scrambled. These things appeared to like shoot up and chase or follow the F-16s. So when you're here, imagine you're me, you're sitting in the office of the Director of National Intelligence in a skiff, and they're briefing you with firsthand, accounts from people that were there. And they said, "Sir, this has brought this investigation from being prior 500 and something to top 10
Whoa.
priorities for this government to figure out what's going on.
Fascinating. Wow. Yeah, it's Grush just did this, press conference in DC that I know you were at, and he was asked about like the various types of life, morphologies, the body types, that sort of thing. And he gets into this idea of sentient plasmoid life.
I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal bipedal type life to what I would consider like sentient plasmoid life. But there are several that the U.S. government is aware of.
And that does seem to be like this sort of recurring theme. That seems to me of a different variety than like a saucer and a hanger, like whatever Bob Lazar worked on.
Right.
Do you have a good? I think one of the things in this space that's like missing is like categories,
A taxonomy.
the taxonomy of because it's just there's so much and there's so many disparate things likely happening. Do you have a sense of that sort of taxonomy? Do you have like a map of this stuff?
Well, certainly you hear about the different things that you often see, whether it's the triangles or the saucers, right? Or the orbs. I don't know that they may be congruent with each other. For example, maybe you see the plasma sphere before the orb or the saucer comes through it. Maybe it's a way of it, breaking the normal.
I feel like I've watched this on the show with you guys. Am I just getting deja vu from seeing this, watching it on my own, or have we just watched quite a few clips from this on the show? If I've watched this whole thing on the show with you guys before, I'm going to feel like an idiot. I don't think I have, though. I think I've just watched clips. What's up, Perry Toe? Good to see you. Sentient plasmoid life freaks me out. Yeah, same. I mean, there's what is that movie where the freaking like electric looking orbs come down, and as soon as they touch the people, they disintegrate? Yeah. Is it Skyline? No, Skyline's where they suck their brains out. There's another one where like the alien comes down and you can't really see it, but like there's a field, and then like once it hits the person, they like get just disintegrated. Would the sentient plasmoid things do that to us? I don't know.
Laws of physics or what we would
Plasma's
describe
like
as normal, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Really hot.
That's really interesting. It's like what Skywatcher, which was kind of feels like almost like a public-facing version of what the Legacy program was doing.
Yeah,
which was like calling these things in, and then causing them to kind of materialize. It almost feels like you're drawing this sentient plasma life form into
these things
reality.
are freaking nuts.
And this is again, we're in very speculative territory here.
The ones,
like, you
I
hear
swear,
things like that time and
some of these things, when they get a close up of them, they seem to be. It's almost like they're getting birthed into existence, or like they're trying to just peek through the veil, if that makes any sense. What's up, Foreign Rebel, over there on pill.net? Thanks for the red pill and the repost.
time again.
It is wild, and the fact that what's described as those plasma lights, really, if you go back throughout history, people describe those. They seem to appear even in ancient texts, right?
Absolutely.
It's not
And that
new.
is the thing that's very
Been here
definitive.
for
So
thousands of
if you look
years.
at the early history in the 40s of the U.S.'s relationship to the topic, you have, Roswell, of course, you have the D.C. flyover. In 47, when the federal government starts to take this seriously, you have Nathan Twining, who's a general who was head of Air Material Command, responsible for all aircraft development for the Air Force. He's saying these things are, neither visionary nor fictitious. And so they start to formally look into it, and they create a project in the Air Force called Project Twinkle. And they have this guy, Lincoln LaPaz, who's a meteor expert at the University of New Mexico, and he starts to track.
That's a good movie, Arachnophobia. It's freak me out. I don't like. I'm okay with spiders, like if I'm working, but if I'm in my home and a spider creeps up on me, I'm going to make a noise.
All these fireballs, these green fireballs, which are tracking the plumes of nuclear blasts after atomic tests, and they seem to be all over nuclear sites, all over the country. And there are FBI documents to this effect. There are thousands of documents between 45 and 54 when you had the U-2 spy plane. So it's like there's something going on, and it's not our own recon craft,
right?
And they seem to be intelligently controlled. So.
And that's the way that these intelligence officials described it, and it freaked them out, and to the point where they needed to ramp up their investigation. They've added more resources, more people. They've elevated it beyond OD&I. It's now a White House-led operation.
I found it, Harry Toe. That movie is called The Darkest Hour,
2011 sci-fi film. Invisible aliens invade Earth and hunt humans. They descend from the sky as glowing orbs of light, and when they touch or catch a person, they instantly disintegrate them into a pile of ash. The Darkest Hour. That'll freak you out.
In all these different agencies, whether it's Department of Energy, CIA, this is something that they're taking very seriously. And they said, when I said in that meeting, I said, you guys saw it firsthand. Surely you have scientists that are kind of working on this. And they said, no, we don't.
Nope.
And I said, okay, you've got to have somebody. You've got to have a team. I said, do you have any idea what these things are? And they assured me that they have no freaking idea what these plasmoid type objects are.
It's so crazy. There's an author named
I struggle to believe that. I really struggle to believe that the powers that be would be so comfortable admitting, yeah, we're not sure what the hell that is.
named Robert Temple, and he wrote a book called The New Science of Heaven. And it's amazing. It kind of reconciles metaphysics with physics, but it's specifically plasma physics. And yeah, it's fascinating. And it talks about atomic matter, what we see material in the world, as the exception to the rule in the universe, that really it's 99% this ambient plasma. And actually, if you think about it, we have 4 energy states of all matter.
Right.
You have, solid, liquid, gas, plasma.
Right.
And it's just about the energy, inserted into each thing that allows you to engage in these sort of phase transitions. So why wouldn't, if we were surrounded by ambient plasma, why wouldn't you be able to draw out any of that plasma back into the material world? And you can literally, go back and forth with, any of your favorite AI, ChatGPT, and it'll say you can in certain instances. So theoretically you can. So yeah, it's very interesting. And he talks about these Kordalovsky clouds, these clouds of plasma that exist in Lagrangian points between Earth and the sun, and those might be responsible for these long delay echo transmissions.
Really?
In the 1920s. Yeah.
Is there a Lagrangian point between the moon and the Earth? There is one, right?
There is, and that's the Kordalovsky clouds are actually the Lagrangian point between the moon and the Earth. I misspoke.
Because that's where we're racing to occupy.
Whoa! No way.
Yeah, no, we are. I know this. We are racing as the United States government to occupy that space and orbit.
You're freaking me out because he literally just wrote this ResearchGate paper which follows up on the New Science of Heaven, his book, about how. So in the 20s, at the kind of the dawn of the radio age,
dude.
Cosmic out all these transmissions, and they would get the
cosmic super brain. What? They're going to try to mess with that. They're going to try to access that. They're going to try to use that for technological advancement, and it's going to go badly, or it's going to go really, really great, and we're going to, see a new phase of humanity. I'm going to try to be positive with this, but we might mess it up.
Mission back, and they'd freak out. They'd be like, "Why are we getting the same thing we just sent out?" It's called a long delay echo. It's this very weird phenomena. And if you actually watch Carl Sagan's Contact, Robert Zemeckis' amazing movie, you see that the first message we get back is Hitler. And he's speaking, and it's this really unfortunate thing, where you're like, why are we hearing Hitler? And it's kind of, I think, paying homage to this long delay echo thing, where it's like mirroring us. And if you think about people's experience with a lot of these sort of plasmoid objects, it's like with Jake Barber, like he locks on to the craft, and there's this sort of consciousness mirroring thing.
They're just, they're just misunderstood painters, guys. They're misunderstood Austrian painters. That's what these Lagrangian clouds are. I've learned new words today.
Right.
And so Robert Temple wrote this kind of follow-up research paper about these Kordalovsky clouds, which might be conscious. And so that's fascinating. So we're racing to go there now.
We are, because of apparently it's a very strategic location, and it's super critical that we get there and that we occupy that space before China does.
That might be disclosure, because that almost, I wonder if maybe the orbs coming to these nuclear sites and stuff, maybe they're like emissaries of this sort of Kordalovsky cloud. If you were to leave something to control, or to as an artifact or a relic or something to affect some future civilization, or affect a civilization you've departed from, you would put it in a Lagrangian point. That is where you would put it.
Right, because it's the place where there is really no gravity. The orbit, the gravitational orbit of the
neutralizes
Earth,
itself,
and the moon are both neutralized.
Exactly. So you're stuck there. So that would be where you would put it, maybe to if you wanted to leave some sort of remnant or something. It is fascinating.
I do know Jake Barber, and I met him. I reached out to Jake the through other people.
I don't know. The Jake Barber dude, he's the one that was with Skywatchers and was talking about how had to be a left-handed homosexual to call in the craft. And when I heard that, I said, nah, I'm out. You lost me. You lost me at left-handed, limp-wristed folks being the main ones to call in the UFOs. I don't know.
Through David and other people. And then eventually he agreed to meet with me. And so I took a trip down to California, met with Jake. An interesting story there is that we met at a private airport in Burbank, and it was just me waiting for Jake to arrive, and it was Jack Black.
No way.
No.
Yeah,
Why was Jack Black there?
He was there to take a private flight up somewhere
So
else.
randomly.
Randomly.
Okay.
And so Jake shows up and he goes, "Do you know Jack Black?" And I go, "No." He goes, "Let's just say hello." So we went over and said hello to Jack Black, and we were just making small talk, and he said, "So what do you guys?" He told us what he was doing, and he said, "What are you guys doing?" And Jake said, "Well, we're gonna fly over the Black Desert here." And Jack goes, "Why in the world would you do that?" And he goes, "Well, this is a congressman." And Jack Black goes, "Hello, congressman."
That's awesome.
And then he said, "We're gonna fly and go look at some super secret stuff." And Jack Black's jaw drops.
Did he say,
And he's
"Take
like,
me"?
Yeah, no, he had otherwise, he might have wanted to go with us. It seemed like he would have wanted to go with us, but that was one of the neatest moments. To this day, if I meet a child, if somebody with kids, if we get talking, like in my Sunday school class, I teach these 5th graders at church, and they don't know who I am. And that's awesome. That's why I do it, because they don't really know.
Yeah.
But if I ever want any kind of street cred, I get out my selfie with Jack Black.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
But no, Jake was a great individual.
Hey,
And
I've been seeing some funny lights in the sky in Southeast Missouri, and I am neither left-handed nor a homosexual. Oh God, what if the orbs know something I don't? No. Harry Doe, what if I'm a bi-handed homo? Ah, 2 phones at once, too. E.T. has 2 phones. One for the home and one for the hose.
and somebody that I is kind of like Grush. Like, I truly think he genuinely had his experiences, and that's,
Have I called them in? I've kind of made comments before, like, that's kind of cool. You're doing the same thing. It'd be cool if you did this. And then I shit you not, they did the thing that I'm like, like I was saying, like kind of just talking or thinking, it'd be really cool if they did that. And then they did the thing that I thought or said. That happened twice. Probably just a coincidence. I'm not going to say I did anything or they tapped into anything, but it was just something that I noted.
These last few years have been wild. To be able to say, I went out, flew with a former, special forces guy.
Yeah.
Had one, actually, the incident where one of the ones that sticks out in my mind is whenever I was like, oh, wow, you're going left or right. Cool. Can you do something cool? And like maybe go straight up towards, where I'm at. And then it literally did that. And then it stopped kind of close to being above where I was. I swear to God, I literally wouldn't lie about it. I don't know what that was about. It was weird.
Over the Black Desert, looked at some military locations, installations. We flew over one of the Lockheed Martin facilities, and it was wild because it's this kind of bowl-shaped thing in the ground, and there's a huge hangar door. It's clearly an underground structure, and all these white vans come racing out as we're flying, circling this thing, and they all just kind of post up and are watching us as we're circling over it.
That's wild.
And it's not restricted because it's so kind of secret that they don't want to restrict it.
Right. Restricting it would somehow identify it or something.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Whoa. Michael Herrera, who's another UFO whistleblower, he, I believe, has an interesting story where Jake Barber, after getting into contact with him at this Greer event, takes him underground to this Edwards Air Force Base and possibly shows him some sort of UFO or craft. Did you experience anything like that?
No. I wish Jake had done that, but no,
Yeah.
I did not have the Michael Herrera experience.
Okay. Maybe next time. Jake is one of those guys where some of this stuff on first glance seems beyond belief.
Right.
But the longer time goes, his stuff keeps just getting proven out. It does. Like, he comes out, a year and a half ago or something, and he's like talking about psionic assets getting rounded up in sometimes some not so ethical ways.
Right.
And that, kind of human cargo, and sometimes from disaster zones around the
Ooh.
world. And they're hired by these, black aerospace programs that are really, there's so much plausible deniability between these outfits and actually the contract.
Excuse me, sir. It's African American aerospace programs. It's 2026. Come on now.
Actors that they're completely invisible.
Right.
And he was kind of implying that he basically was one of these kind of hidden hands. And that these psionic operators get used to call in craft, and then they land. And it's just so wild. You think that that's crazy, right? You think that that's this insane thing. And then you got Matt Gaetz, for example. I don't know if you know about this. He was doing a Twitter space, and he's telling about, one of his constituents who came into his office saying something very similar.
How in the hell do you get like the humans and they say, oh no, it is natural disasters. They said, actually, sadly, the unaccompanied minor crisis and the caravans that just had like kind of unaccountable swaths of humans,
which is people getting rounded up in sort of disaster zones when you don't know if they're going to go missing. And it's really wild. And then, Jake Barber also wrote a book called Sentinels of Ether, which was so redacted by the, the Pentagon censored
It's
it.
supposedly a fiction book.
It's a fiction book, but it's not a fiction book.
But it's redacted.
7 pages of the 20, which are just the 10% of the whole book, get blacked out, get censored, and are deemed classified. So
I mean,
he's one of these guys where I think a lot of what he's saying is pretty spot on and on the target.
Yeah, I think he's definitely. Look, and maybe I'm just naive, but whenever I'm talking to Jake, when I'm talking to these people, I feel like they're not trying to be deceptive.
Yeah.
If anything, so like to me, Jake had all the reason in the world to not talk about the psychological impact that he had. I mean, in fact, people told him, if you want to be taken credibly, don't bring up the emotional feeling that you had. Right. When he described being in the helicopter while he's carrying, what was this? I think he described it as an egg.
Yeah. I think the
UAP.
emotional reaction was to the 8-gon craft, I believe. Yeah.
So I think he had all the reason in the world to not go into that. And
Yeah.
yet he felt compelled that he had to say that.
Yes.
To me, that's an indication of somebody who.
The psychological aspect of being around a craft and then having that type of response emotionally, I mean, that could literally just be, electromagnetic frequencies, I guess, EMFs. Hell, the elevator thing where I get dizzy when I'm waiting for an elevator. I think that has to do with EMFs. I haven't researched it, but that's what I would guess. They the ghost hunters, like I think it was called Ghost Hunters, the show. The guys that used to do the Roto-Rooter or whatever, when they would go into a house that was reporting incidents of like a haunting, a lot of the times it would be hallucinations or uneasy feelings caused by EMFs, so exposed wires or old wiring in a house. So maybe that's a similar thing. So it happened to what's his face, the weird-eyed guy about the psionics. I completely spaced on his name. Like I said, I had a long day at work, guys. Good Lord, I just heard his name like 5 times. Barber, maybe? I don't know. Jake,
who really
Jake Barber.
feels strongly, passionately. He's not doing it for financial gain.
That's right. And look, I've met 2 people that claim to have interacted with the craft, him and Bob Lazar, and they both say they experience emotional and ominous feelings around them. And then the psionic operators I've met who know how to systematically.
I met
call
with
them
a
in.
third one that you have not mentioned. Who said the same thing.
Okay, and
so
tell
he's
me
not
more.
public, and he probably will never go public. But he served in special forces. He was in the field, and was brought into a room.
He almost told
what he describes as a hovering black. Again, it appears like 3-dimensional or 3 meters in diameter, but this thing was blacker than black sphere that was floating, and it just gave this sense of just complete evil and darkness. Is the way he described it.
Whoa.
Like he felt ill just being around it. He felt like there was just something really bad about it, and didn't want to go anywhere near it.
And was this at an aerospace facility or?
It was overseas.
It was overseas,
and you can imagine. He's working during the time period in which we were in war. So you can imagine it's one of those locations, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan.
Whoa! But it was in U.S. possession, or in?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we had captured it there,
or that it was a tech that we have. I don't know.
It was maybe actually human technology, or you think genuinely non-human?
He absolutely knew that it was either derived from alien tech or that it was that it was captured.
It was a blacker than black sphere. That makes me think of the Lazar thing, where he has his sort of reactor. And it can create this almost little mini black hole or something that's blacker than black.
and then rotated the emitter. I don't know if it was another direction or more the same way, but it made a little black ball in the air where no light was escaping, looking like a little black hole. But no, you could just tell there was no light at the focal point right in the air. It was just a dark area. So there it's affecting light.
What if you touch
But
it?
it wasn't in the candle test before that. So
Like,
it
I would not last in one of these labs because I would really, really struggle not to touch the thing. Don't touch the black hole anomaly. Like, what if you touch it and you dissolve? What if you touch it and it like sucks you in? What if you touch it and all of a sudden you have the answers to the universe? Or you just phase through it and it's not a big deal. I would want to touch it though. Maybe poke it with a stick. See what happens to the stick, and then after you poke the thing with the stick, then you move forward to other things.
It's a really unusual.
That's fascinating. And he had just a really bad feeling about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
That individual was very
That's how
cloak and
we learn.
dagger.
That's right.
Very, very difficult to get information. Was very difficult. Really, whenever I talked with him, he was warning me that
Someone's got to do it.
he was warning me about the dangers of
Damn
the
right.
physical dangers of getting involved in this topic.
What do you make of that? And do you think it's really dangerous?
Legend has it that in 1943, the Navy tried to teleport a ship in what's known as the Philadelphia experiment. And it worked. Sorta. It disappeared, reappeared, and then half the crew got atomically fused into the ship's walls. Others just vanished. No one was where they were supposed to be. Talk about a breakdown in communication. You know what that sounds like? Your team, before you had Quo. This year, upgrade your system to a workspace that keeps your team from shattering across dimension. By Quo dropped case where you're fusing in 3 plus get 20.
Of course, we have a healthcare system. And
Definitely have their summer saving. JES
is in danger, and I think to try to
Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
You've got some people that I think will dramatize it and say, my life is in danger, and I think to try to get an appeal. I don't live my life that way. I don't live my life in a way in which I'm looking over my shoulder. I feel like if it's my time and God's ready to take me home, then that's his timing. It's always in his timing. So I'm just going to do what I'm going to do until that happens and not worry about it. But I mean, I've had more death threats from unions whenever I was trying to pass right to work legislation than I have from people on this topic.
Yeah, the topic's it's so out there. Sometimes it feels safer than politics, which is like the most heated sort of thing. It's like, I sometimes, I think Tucker Carlson's probably in more danger than me, doing what I'm, but at other times I'm like, I get a little spooked and I'm like, I don't know if, I should be talking about this. Or
but when I talk to people like David Grush and Jake Barber and some of these other guys and the individual that I mentioned, and they all kind of seem to warn about the same thing, particularly from the private sector, that there's certain private sector companies that they claim have some nefarious actors that will do kinetic activity. In other words, like a wetworks type arm. That's kind of disturbing to hear.
Super disturbing. Speaking of which, both Grush and Jake Barber knew Matthew Sullivan, who was found dead 2 weeks before he was supposed to testify before Congress. The rumors are, and I just have
nothing to see there at all, guys. Nothing to see at all.
And I don't know that he was going to testify in a hearing as much as come to speak to some members in a skiff or maybe even in an office.
That's right. Yeah. So privately, give his information,
which is the precursor to coming before in a public hearing.
Sure. Yeah. And I've heard that maybe he had some firsthand experience with Kraft.
Yeah, that's what I was told too.
Okay.
That he was in the legacy program, had firsthand experience with Kraft, and that when I first met Grush, he was shaken by the Matthew's death and really wanted, if anything, he was trying to get my help in trying to get that exposed. And he had submitted that to the office, I think it was the Office of Inspector General. They said that it's warranted and credible, that it should be investigated. And we took that information. We've composed a letter, sent it to the FBI through the Oversight Committee, only to later, we had been told that it had been sent. Later, we found out that it had never been received.
What?
No, it had not been received by the FBI. And that was during the Biden administration, so it may be that it was lost in transition or something, but we had to resubmit that letter.
So is the FBI now investigating Matthew Sullivan's death?
I don't know if they have I don't know the status of that investigation, but I believe that they are. I strongly believe that they are because they've indicated that they won't talk about it.
Because the FBI is definitely going to tell you the truth on that.
An active investigation, which is kind of the tell that they are actively investigating.
I would hope they are. Did you ever interact with Matthew yourself?
I did not.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a sense of kind of various configurations or geometries of crafts? You know, people think of the proverbial flying saucer. Do you think it's just that? Do you think you mentioned a few others, you know, earlier, triangle?
I mean, Lou's book describes it as though the reason why those shapes seem to make sense is that you've got some kind of anti-gravitic device. Like if you have a smaller thing that creates a bubble, a gravity bubble, then that would naturally fit an orb or a disc, right? And then if you have two, then it would look something like a tic tac. If you have two of them, right, or a tube, and then if you have three, it's a triangle. That's in Lou's book, but I'd have no evidence that that's the case. Only from what I've heard from other people.
Lou's obviously a very interesting character. You can't say he's not responsible for a lot of modern disclosure. You know, he helped get that New York Times article published in 2017 through Leslie Kean, and he was, you know, in charge of OSAP. Lately, you know, this sort of thanks to people like UAP Gerb, people have been saying that he's actually, you know, maybe more implicated in legacy UFO program activities. I think Ross Coulthart said that as well. And
I'm sorry, but those two guys stacked to the left, I don't. The guy to the left strikes me as a charlatan. The at the bottom, Ross Coulthart, I don't know. He just strikes me as a complete fucking scam artist. Maybe not. And then the guy up top was literally a disinformation agent for the damn CIA, I think, wasn't he? So it doesn't mean that he doesn't have information, but man, your job was to disinform. How it's a tall order to try to get people to trust you. And when both of them are working together, it's like, well, you know, okay, screw this kind of thing. But I'm like, I'm still listening, but I'm like, I'm definitely taking everything they say with a gigantic boulder of salt. You know, the proverbial I want to believe, but
if you even watch him in front of Congress, you know, in September of 24, he's saying, I can't confirm or deny being read into, you know, Immaculate Constellation.
His big thing is sharing that freaking, trying to say he saw a flying saucer or shadow of a flying saucer in the desert, and it was just a freaking, like, agricultural thing. Do better, dude.
Mr. Elizondo, were you read into the Immaculate Constellation program?
I would not be authorized to confirm nor deny the existence of any ongoing or past program, especially as it relates to a special access program.
Which is just saying that he's being dramatic in the way he said that, which is pretty much admitting that, yes.
Either by name or trigraph.
The implication being that maybe he was read in. You know, I interviewed him, and, you know, it often feels like he's sitting on a lot more information than he can say. He'll self-admit that. Yeah.
I think he is. And I think, to your point, I think that he does not deny that. I think that Lou, I feel like Lou wants to tell you everything, but he also is a patriot, and he's going to abide by his non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
And so he will go through Dobster, which is that process where it allows them to say things. Whether they'll try to put things in the form of a book form that see what can be released, and then they know what they can talk about after that process is over. They're constantly putting things through Dobster to see what will shake loose that they can talk about. And so I feel like he is someone who is going to be loyal to his oath to the country, but he wants to get the truth out as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, and our mutual friend UAP Gerb, who's a great UFO content creator, who's just extremely detailed on kind of mapping the legacy program. He kind of notes that you know, intelligence support activity, and Gray Fox, which do recon in super sensitive situations in areas before JSOC does, but it's part of Joint Special Operations Command. You know, that Lou was a part of that. And so, yeah, interesting connections there. And then you ask this sort of meta question, which is why in 2017 did the program say maybe it's time to out itself? Or like, was it these elements of the program that are like, this isn't being run well? And so like we have to come out and we have to reform this and get a certain amount of information out there, or like what?
Yeah, I think it was their attempt of trying to compartmentalize what they could release without giving away our good tech, right? The things that our technology. And so I think that they saw that there's enough, and that's, we have seen that ourselves. Like I get people that are active military personnel that come to me as a member of Congress, and have videos that they'll show me. They'll have information which helps us identify what we should be asking, where what we should be sending letters about. And I think that they acknowledge that there is, if they don't start managing the release of information, what can be released and what shouldn't be, that the dam was going to break. That's just my best guess.
Yeah, so they're trying to get in front of.
I will say Jeremy Corbell had threatened like weeks ago that if the government didn't start putting out the good stuff, that he was going to. And I mean, this fourth tranche, word of the year, tranche, it was really cool. There's a lot more, but it still seems like the way Corbell made it sounded like he had a lot more, and he was going to drop it. He was going to drop it on everybody if they didn't start getting going. And then still kind of crickets from Corbell on that. So that was kind of weird. Maybe he got a talking to. Maybe he was just bluffing. I don't know.
What they know is going to leak ultimately anyways, and sort of manage how it comes out and ensure it's not this sort of catastrophic thing.
That's my best guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a good guess. Along the lines of, we were just talking about Matthew Sullivan, you have this sort of missing scientists narrative generally. Earlier we were talking about Amy Eskridge and Ning Lee. Neil McCaslin is a general who is extremely high up. I believe he was on the Special Access Program Oversight Committee, which Lou was as well. And so he was cleared to, more things than the president probably, and was, head of the AFRL at Wright-Patterson, the Air Force Research Laboratory. And he was the source for a lot of Tom DeLonge's kind of, disclosures in his, quote unquote fiction books, Secret Machines. He went super mysteriously missing.
Yeah.
What do you think about that case?
To me, that's whether we've got to close that loop. I mean, this is a person who's walking around with some of our nation's most important secrets. I think it's important that we identify.
And he's just gone, guys, gone.
What happened to him?
Yes.
Whether there's a body in the desert, they need to go. They need to go find a body.
Yes.
Find the body, or find out if he decided to go to Cabo and just disappear. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we need to find out what happened to this individual. I know he was on my list of people to talk to. I know that David Grush had sent. He had sent someone to interview General McCaslin.
No, Burlison just admitted he has a list. Oh no.
And was not able to get a whole lot out of him. But I think McCaslin knew that we were definitely making inquiries trying to set up something to talk to him.
Well, that's weird that, it's like a week or so after Trump, and Pete Hegseth are saying we're going to officially look into this stuff. Here's a guy who's cleared to everything. He's publicly associated with Tom DeLonge and sort of some of these, disclosures. And then you're looking into meeting him, and then he just disappears entirely.
Yeah.
It's a strange fact pattern. And then he leaves his phone, right? And
he leaves everything.
He leaves everything, but he takes a gun.
Well, they don't know that he took a gun.
Okay, but one gun was missing.
Maybe missing. It's not confirmed.
Okay.
I mean, when you really read through the reports,
but there's also no ring camera footage, no footage of him having. It felt a little premeditated.
Yeah. Well, the fact that the latest information is he went to REI and purchased a medical kit.
Yeah.
Like a travel, like a backpack, what you would take on a long hike, like some kind of medical.
Oh, wow.
So why if you're going to go kill yourself in the desert, why would you take a medical kit?
No, you wouldn't.
He was taking the kit to the alien being that was sick and in need of assistance in the desert. He knew about it. He decided to go help the alien, and then he went with them on the spaceship, and he'll return whenever he's attained all the knowledge that he can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he knew what he was getting himself into. And then, I feel awkward bringing this up, but his wife, made this call, and apparently he was not doing well. Towards this, I think he was feeling a little anxious and not in the greatest health. And so she says that to 911, and this call is now, out there. But she then follows up on Twitter and she says maybe the best explanation for this is an alien having, abducted him from a mothership, although no mothership has been found in the local.
What did I say? What did I just say?
Area. That's strange.
It is.
It's strange, and you're asking for speculation when you say that. That's a weird. That's not a normal statement.
It's not, and I guess people grieve in different ways, and maybe,
Sure.
but her grieving is one of the most different ways I've ever seen someone grieve over the loss of their loved one. So I can't explain, but to your point, I agree. Her response has been very unusual.
Definitely unusual. Speaking of unusual, you had going viral all over Twitter this idea of this meeting of these high-level intelligence people who seem to know more about the UFO issue than people, than people on the civilian side. And they are meeting with these pastors and religious leaders across the country and convening them and telling them to prepare their churches.
They wanted to have a meeting, an urgent meeting, where again, we go into this Airbnb, we have to turn our phones on airplane mode. There's no recording of the meeting. But ultimately, the purpose of it was disclosure is coming quickly. And these people who are working in government agencies are pleading with pastors. They're pleading, please prepare your people so that they are not deceived by what is coming.
And you were somehow thrown into this whole conversation. Do you want to talk about this?
That's an interesting side part of this whole journey. It seems like every time you have this conversation about UFOs and UAPs, it always kind of brings up the question of spirituality, or are these angels? Are these people? Some people say they're all demons, that kind of thing. But it inevitably always comes up.
I think J.D. Vance says they're demons.
I don't know how to
I think
explain this.
Some might be, some might not be. Who knows?
But there's a group of people, and I don't even really know who they really work for, but they are very clandestine. They are former special forces, former military intelligence, and are working for somebody in the private who has given them the ability to investigate this as a side task. That's my best guess, because you'll never get out of them who they really work for. They seem to be good actors, because whenever I talked with them, they kind of bumped me, is the best way to describe it, in Washington, D.C. at a different meeting. The person that bumped me later on that night pulled me aside and said, "Hey, my name is not really XYZ. And I want to, but I really am looking out for you. And I can tell you that some of these people that we've been talking to, you probably shouldn't be fully trusting.
Huh.
And I wanted to see if you want to sit down and talk." And he related with me a shared faith, that we both are Christians. We both love Jesus. And he was, I could tell that he was absolutely genuine in that. He wasn't making that part up.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I'll talk to most anybody. And I was open to talking with him and meeting with other people. It turned out that it was a fairly organized, well-funded operation of guys that are all, of Christian faith, who have a lot of concerns about some of the activity that's going on. And they wanted to kind of maintain a contact, maintain a connection. I would say this group has been extremely helpful to me. Extremely helpful.
How so?
Dude.
They brought people, whether they're whistleblowers to me, they brought...
This is fun. I'm glad that he's getting into some of the specifics with these individuals that I guess. So the group he's talking about is the group that brought the pastors together, right?
Tips, they brought, lots of really good information. So I don't feel like they have, my personal interaction with this group is that they're actually, they're on my side. They want to be extremely helpful, and they're very transparent, other than that they won't talk about their funding.
What do they do day to day? Are they working with UFO stuff, or?
It sounds to me like they've got a contract to investigate a broader topic, and that UAPs are part of that.
What's the broader topic?
Could be, incursions on the United States, like drone incursions, things like that. So, and that's just my makeup. I don't know exactly. Just from having conversations with them, they also seem to be investigating human trafficking quite a bit. So, in any event, in the course of our conversations,
could human trafficking be tied into this? Guys, we've made kind of light, had some flippant comments about how, well, maybe the Epstein stuff ties into this alien stuff. Wouldn't that be an interesting little bow to put on top of stuff? On top of that whole island stuff. I don't know.
That came up that, one of these individuals is actually a chaplain, if you will. And I said, you should, this topic really, the church needs to be prepared for this. And we need to have a conversation, because a lot of people are going off on very wild tangents. And my view is that this absolutely actually does not reject the biblical worldview. If anything, the more that I look into it, the more...
Sanglin, I have not seen the first X-Files movie in a long time, but I remember them being in the Arctic, and there was a ship, and or the It was the Arctic, right? Not Antarctic. Maybe there was ice and there was a ship underneath. What's up, Snarl Barky, over there with the red pill and the repost on pill.net. Appreciate you, bub. And I remember the cornfields and the bees. There was something to do with the bees. Oh, you're gonna talk about the black goo? Yeah, the black goo is something. I remember that. I remember the X-Files show. They're like the alien blood was like green and it caused everybody to die or something. Thanks for the quote post over there on Pilled.
It really strengthens my faith. It really strengthens. It takes the story of the Bible. If you take this into context, right? If it is true, it can take the story, the narrative, the biblical narrative, and put it on an epic scale, like a universal scale, right? Like this is a galactic story of the creator of the entire universe, creating all of these, planets, all these, and it does make sense that there'd be much more out there. There's a reason why there's all this space. There's got to be other things out there.
Yeah.
And that if, but of all the places, chooses this location and this people and this species to want to commune with, that this God says, I want to create my image is going to be this being, this human is going to be basically my representation to this whole universe. So to me, it takes that story and puts it on a grander scale and explains potentially why if there's other beings. Timothy Alberino, I think, has probably done some of the best thought work on this, and so I would highly recommend people pick up his book Birthright, because it seems to me it's a very logical way for a Christian to approach this. Well, anyway, these individuals were also kind of in the same vein, and they decided they were going to put together a group of pastors, kind of slowly bring them into this conversation, see where they are, and they invited me to that event. I said I couldn't make it, but I would be happy to be on a phone call. And so they brought me in. I said basically what I've just said to you, which is that, look, it's important that we don't really just completely ignore this as a topic. If anything, if something does happen, it shouldn't shake your worldview at all. And I kind of explained how that didn't shake my worldview. And then they said, so then later on, these pastors started talking about this experience, and some of them put words in my mouth, if you will, saying that I said, what's going to happen. I think one of the pastors later on came out and apologized and said, Eric Burlison did not say this. I believe this. But when I was saying it, I should have separated the fact that what he actually said versus what I believe. And what he said that he believed was that these are all demons. And I'm not going to jump to that kind of conclusion.
Well, clearly that's not the case for you, because you're looking into this stuff all the time. You wouldn't be spending all your time looking into demons if you thought they were all demons.
Right.
Yeah. Have you heard of this group called the Collins Elite by any chance?
I have. Yeah. That's an interesting part of this whole narrative.
What? Yeah, because like people like Lou Elizondo and a lot of the crowd behind To the Stars Academy, and like a lot of the people around modern disclosure describe the Collins Elite as this sort of very embedded in the government faction of deeply fundamentalist Christians who don't want to study this stuff scientifically at all, because they view it as demonic, and they'll literally cite Bible passages around Lucifer being kind of the ruler of the skies. Do you think that this group that's in touch with you is at all connected with the Collins Elite?
I don't believe so. But I don't know for sure. They could be. I think in general, and this is actually the opposite of what I was trying to get to, which is that, excuse me, I would disagree with somebody who is of the Collins Elite view. I disagree with a religious leader who definitively says we shouldn't be approaching this or talking about this topic because it is all demonic. I don't have the evidence that that's the case. If anything, as a Christian, what would you say to Mary when she was approached by the angel Gabriel? Don't talk to anything that isn't from this earth, because it's all demonic.
Right.
And so that's like the first thought that I have, is that when you read the Bible, most of the times in which an angel or something that's not of earth comes forward, I mean, this is all assuming that that's what you believe. If we assume that what we're experiencing are beings that are described spiritually as either angels or demons or et cetera, part of that kind of category, then go back historically. Most of the time that people are getting a message or having a conversation, it's not from a fallen angel, it's from a messenger from God. Like the word angel literally means messenger from God. It doesn't categorically say that this is what this being is. it does describe different beings like cherubim, seraphim, right? The watchers, which are kind of interesting. And they're all kind of utilized by God to be a messenger or an angel. But I mean, that's a long tangent, but that's to say, when I apply my biblical worldview to this topic, if that were the case, I wouldn't necessarily jump to the conclusion that they're all demons.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't really have a lot of high view of the Collins Elite perspective.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think to say that, none of the spiritual overlays that we've, had for years, like, a lot of, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, like none of those apply as to somehow to what we're looking at now, I think is dogmatic and
Right.
crazy. Like,
Right.
of course, like they might, a lot of these things, I like the concept of Lindy. If something has survived for thousands of years, it probably has value. And so it probably has value as far as describing, the nature of things, some archetypal value. And so to say that the Bible has no archetypal value, I think is sort of nuts. And then, yeah, I find myself sort of in between that. And then the other side is like, sometimes I'll hear people like Sean Ryan or Tucker Carlson, they'll be like, it's spiritual. And they'll be like, it's just, it's demons or something. And it's
Right.
like, well, what is an angel? What is a demon? Like, can we not inquire into what those things actually are? That's sort of a low level descriptor that ends any conversation.
Right.
And you can't have one without the other, even in the biblical context. So some might be really good, So
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why again I go back to what I think Timothy Alberino's work is he's really kind of analytically, logically approaching.
I need to get Timothy Alberino's books. I think I would actually read the hell out of them.
This to say, for example, like if you were visited by people from another country, go back in the time in which the Europeans were colonizing the Americas. Some of them, not all of them, were bad people. Some of them were good. Some of them certainly were bad. But like I just think that you shouldn't categorize it all
For
in
sure.
one thing unless you absolutely definitively know.
I agree. And I've seen a remarkably low amount of evidence for the space alien thing.
Well, that's only slightly disconcerting that he just compared the UFO phenomenon to colonizers. Uh-oh.
Like you can go back to, certain abductions, obviously Betty and Barney Hill saying they're from a binary star system mapped out, looked like Zeta Reticuli, things like that. You can find a decent amount of things like that.
Right.
But there is just as much. If I wanted to steelman the argument for future human time travelers, and I wanted to steelman the angels and demons argument, you could just as easily steelman those things as you could space aliens. So it's all of them feel somewhat arbitrary. And I almost feel like the more worthwhile philosophical endeavor would be, how would you reconcile all of those things? Because maybe we're talking in these sort of limited frameworks and it's false dichotomies.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
that's right.
maybe angels can fly to different
I think it could be a beautiful marriage of science and spirituality, possibly. Who knows?
planets, and maybe
they're
they can travel through time.
Maybe they're from different planets.
Maybe they're from different planets.
You know, if the Scientologists end up being the ones that are correct, I'm going to be upset. I'm just saying. Xenu, take me home.
Right? Like maybe they are extra dimensional. Maybe they're from different planets, or maybe there's also
Or does it give me a planet? I don't remember.
so other creations at different planets, in addition to categorically angels that are spiritual. I mean, who knows?
Oh, wait, is that what the Mormons believe? Do the Mormons believe they're going to get their own planets?
Yeah. I find the modern conversation around all of this stuff frustrating because it feels like on the one hand, it's like it's space aliens. And then on the other hand, with Arrow, it's like it's nothing. And I think in reality, the people who say it's nothing know that it's actually, in certain cases, they're bad faith actors that know that it's much deeper than the nothing. So, but they know it's actually deeper than space aliens too. So
Right.
they actually know that there's
Right.
something around the consciousness stuff, the fact
That's
that this
right.
is all kind of an interface. There's something
Right.
deeper going on in reality. So they can, in good faith, people like Sean Kirkpatrick say, I have no evidence for extraterrestrials because it's such an oversimplification.
That's right. Well, and if there's no proof of where it came from, which planet it came from, then then you could definitively say, well, I have no evidence of extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that
Exactly.
I right now
I watched Big Love I remember watching a couple episodes of Big Love back in the day, but it didn't pull me in. Music is gold.
Oh, anybody that says they have all the answers clearly doesn't.
Yeah. Anybody who speaks with really high confidence says they're all good or they're all bad or I know where they're from.
I love the information, the books that people send me. I've gotten some wild. So somebody sent me both volumes of the Encyclopedia Galactica, which is, have you seen this?
No.
It's very creative. But this person has written hundreds and hundreds of pages with graphics and of different categories of species of aliens and which planets they're from, and it goes in great detail. I'll try to get you.
Oh,
a
I'd
copy
love
of
to
it.
check. That sounds awesome.
I mean, the level of creativity of that material is off the charts.
It's off the charts. It's incredible. But yes, I agree. When somebody starts to speak super definitively and
Sanglet says there's a twist with the third wife that's really funny. Is it not a she? Is there a surprise between the legs? That would be a surprise. That would be funny.
confidently about alien race tech
and also quite offensive
taxonomies. I'm like, I don't know. Where are you getting this?
Right.
You know?
Show me the receipts.
Show me the receipts. Yeah. But I'm down to read that book. That sounds awesome. If you were to pick
the third one is just Big Mike. Big Love. Big Mike.
Anyone in government to subpoena or get endless time with in a SCIF, secure compartmentalized information facility on this specific issue, UFOs, who would it be?
I would say probably Glenn Gaffney, who is, former CIA. A lot of people I talk to say that this is somebody that we need to talk to. And then Steve Cantrell, who's former Air Force.
I do believe Gaffney, the inspiration for one of the big bad guys from Disclosure Day was Glenn Gaffney, I think.
Senior intelligence from the Air Force. A lot of people talk to. And then the other name that kept coming up, sadly, was General McCaslin.
Right.
And then there's another individual that has since passed away. And so those are the people that I would like to talk to.
Can you say who the individual who passed away was?
I'm blanking on the name right now.
Okay.
I can get that to you.
Okay. It's fascinating.
Oh,
it's such
she's
a
a liar.
weird, as I'm sure you're running into, like org chart. Like it's like often not the person who's the most superior in the particular organization that you're looking for. It's like the deputy that knows more than the superior.
Right.
And there are these like weird cutouts. And I've never seen anything that cuts across so many government agencies: Air Force, Navy, CIA, Office of Naval Intelligence. It seems like all of these groups have NSA, all of these groups have something to do with this issue, but it's often these like vital subcompartments. It's not like from the top.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's almost as if like the aliens are like running the programs themselves or something. Because I don't understand. Look, you know this better than anybody. The government's not well organized, and stuff leaks, and like especially things that are that broadly distributed. So that feels like a really interesting feature of this whole thing. Just the organizational.
That's why I think that it's probably organized from the FFRDC level somewhere, because then they can create the program and the reason for the funding, and then report up only what they have to report up to get the funding necessary.
So they create the special access program. They create a little vital subcompartment, and then they only have to report up a certain amount of stuff. And they're these subject matter experts. And so that's interesting. So they're the like vital core of this whole thing.
Got about another 20 minutes left in this interview. This has been fascinating. I feel like I need to do a lot more reading. I've been lazy with my reading. I mean, I read a lot of articles, but actually sitting down and reading a book, I don't do that. Man. No, not really. Yeah. Need to.
Right.
Federally funded.
And honestly, from my experience in government, the higher you go, the more broad things are, and the less people know, or they act like they know, or nobody really asks the right questions, especially members of Congress. Most of the time, they'll just take, you'll pass bills that are appropriating billions and billions of dollars to programs with just very generic explanations as to what they do.
Right.
And often it sounds wonderful. I mean, look at what happened with USAID. You had billions being spent, and it all sounded like rosy, very, very nice things. And then when you looked into it, it was when you looked into the
CIA
details,
regime change or some, diversity initiative somewhere, or so it's just sometimes a nonprofit that was just taking the money and using it on nonsense,
paying for transgender comic books in certain countries.
Just crazy.
Right.
Like what? Yeah. What is that? So okay, that's interesting. The broader you go up in the civilian government, the less of a handle they probably have on these things.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly would have the authority if they wanted to drill down and get and pull that information out of them. But oftentimes they're not going to even know what questions to ask. And that's my experience. I truly feel like what we're experiencing right now with the White House, Stephen Miller is now leading up this investigation. The low-hanging fruit was to say, we know that there's a bunch of these video files that are sitting at the Department of War in like SIPR and all these other, because we know all these people are leaking them. So let's just release all of them. And so the first tranche, that's what you saw, is a bunch of videos from drones, from MQ-9 Predator drones, where they've cited something that seems really strange. But then where do you go from there?
Right.
It's actually going to be a lot more sticky and difficult, and you'll have to really roll up your sleeve, and you have to know where to go to ask the right and what questions to ask.
Right.
And so to the point in which I was kind of frustrated.
That right there is one of the things that Tim Burchett's always said.
He's when he's talking to the president about it, and he's like, well, he's like, well, I just want to talk to President Trump and make sure he knows who to ask what.
With the White House that they were doing this release and weren't working with the Secrets Task Force, weren't working through Luna and myself and Burchett. And then they called and
There
said,
he is.
hey, can you say some positive things about the president's release from? I said, I don't even know what you're releasing. You guys haven't said anything to us. You haven't included us. And the response was, well, we're absolutely going to be including you next because we really don't know exactly where to go next.
Right.
And when you hear that, when you hear people at the top saying, we need your help knowing where to go look, that to me, that's really what we're experiencing.
It's a little disconcerting because it's
Little bit.
government by and for the
What's
people.
up, CW?
Yeah.
And it's like they don't even have a handle on
Ninja
this stuff, which
please.
seems like really important. Like the
And
program
the strategy they have, I think, is a good one. If they're actually able to pull it off, and what will be the game changer is if they say, the president comes out and says, everyone's NDAs related to this topic are null and void. So that frees up a Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and all of these people to be able to say, David Grush and Jake Barber to say whatever they fully want to say. And then it also frees up anybody else who may have been waiting to be able to come forward. The other things they need to do is they really need to make it right to the people that have already come forward and suffered the consequences, like Grush, right? The people that lost their pensions, they lost their health benefits, they lost their clearance level.
It'd be great if Grush was in a position of power because this guy did all the work. He compiled hundreds of pages of documents. He gave it to the intelligence community inspector general. They said it was urgent, incredible. Like, I can't think of anybody better who just has access. But I think that's why he creates all the, there are all these kind of allergic reactions to him.
Right.
Because he knows a lot. And I think people know he knows a lot.
They do. And that's why I begged oversight committee to hire him. I begged anybody in the agencies that are investigating this.
I'd love to see
hire him.
Odie
Which
and
is why I hired him.
Yeah.
Because at least
it's a great hire. It's a good deal for you. I think I'd love to see Odie and I or the White House or, it'd
Fair
be
CW.
epic if you had his knowledge combined with their ability to knock down doors. I mean, you're knocking down doors right now, but you must feel on some level, you're like, why isn't he, why isn't the president? And,
No, because the truth is David can give me the information and I can go bang on the door, but I can't knock it down.
Sure. Right.
But if he's working with President Trump, he could go blast the door open.
Right. What do you think President Trump knows about UFOs?
I do believe he's been briefed. I don't know for sure. This is what I've heard, that he's been briefed. There's a funny anecdotal story that comes with that I don't know if it's fiction or not, but it was that Trump was, during that briefing, he was told that there are hybrids and told the narrative that there's hybrids that potentially live amongst us. And that Trump's response was, you mean like Adam Schiff?
No way.
Which I could totally believe.
Something about that pencil neck. It's honestly, it's disconcerting. I think he might not be quite fully human. He might be an alien hybrid. Maybe one of the mantis or reptilians.
Could say something like that. But
yeah, wasn't he briefed on like Nordics or something? Like
Right.
Nordic alien?
What's up, Dominion After Dark rating? This episode of the Dozer Den. We're going for about another 20 minutes or so, and then we'll be raiding out to somebody else. It'll be a raid train, slightly delayed. Thank you for rating. Guys, follow Dominion After Dark. Worth the follow, worth the watch, all that good stuff.
Yeah, something like that. And so, I mean,
Do
I
we
don't know
know
for
who
sure.
briefed him, or-
I was told that this, again, this is not definitive. This is what I've heard.
Interesting.
So who knows? He may, but it's clear he's not been briefed to the level of David, like what, or if he has been, he also may not just trust the people briefing him.
Sure. Yeah. It's such a weird topic. A good story that encapsulates the weirdness of this topic is in the 90s. Clinton really wanted to be read in. He was really interested in this whole thing. And that's why, Podesta later gets really involved. And so he's trying to figure out what's going on with UFOs, what's happening.
CW, I think whenever Lindsey Graham heard that Trump had 1,000 missiles pointed at Iran, he just could not help himself, began furiously self-gratifying. And at his age, the speed with which he was going, thinking of more dead brown people, sandfolk, he gave out. His heart gave out. Couldn't handle the excitement.
Happening. And this guy, Ron Pandolfi, who's at the CIA, he like is helping him, and he gets this like civilian researcher, Bruce Maccabee, to brief Clinton. And it's like, wait, that's the best you can get for
Yes.
briefing our president on this topic? And
Mm.
maybe if it's like a brief on this weird metaphysical thing that's weakly entangled with reality, that's one thing. But there's a whole gradation of possibilities here up until like literally flying objects that deliver payloads. And if you're not being briefed on that and you're the president, it's like you're not being briefed on like the next hypersonics thing that the US has capabilities wise. That's like insane. And like,
Right.
so this topic is, it breaks your brain when you hear stories like that. You're like, what?
Right.
It makes you feel like there's some secret society breakaway civilization, like some of these UFO researchers, like Richard Dolan, uses that kind of as like a conceptual,
Yeah.
Maybe it's this. He's not high conviction in it, but it kind of gets you into that territory.
So where I'm at right now is that I think that it's either one of two things. It's one is that we're at a place where our military really doesn't, and even all the way up and down the system, nobody really even knows what these glowing orbs are. And that, like, while we have this false belief that the government has this ability, that we have these craft, that we have this understanding, we have this false belief in that. We have way too much confidence in our federal government, and which is,
always a safe bet.
Always a safe bet. So there's that, and but that there is something mystical out there that we don't know, and certainly, obviously, there's things that we all don't know, right? And that being one of them. The other worldview could be that that there is a layer that knows what's really going on, but it's this middle layer.
Yeah.
And that the information is only going to matriculate up if it's demanded, or even and then downward, it's compartmentalized, overly compartmentalized. And the question is, how do you get to that layer of the onion?
And you get into really weird territory philosophically too, because you can say, oh, it starts with the federally funded research and development centers. But then we were talking about this, before we started rolling. It's like if there is a feature around the UFO thing, it's the like chasing your tail dynamic of anyone looking into it. And I'm talking anyone, even some of the people, in the movie Age of Disclosure, like are described as like outsider civilian investigators, when like people who watch UFO shows think that they're like at the center of the thing. Like no one's at the center of the thing. And then you get into the, like this guy I mentioned, Tim Taylor at Aerospace Corporation. He's saying he's taking orders from an angel and he's operating on like a higher mandate. And his whole hierarchy of the stratification of the government involves, senior intelligence officials. And then I think it goes
God, angels distinct from off-planet beings not the same as angels, intelligence community factions ranked above ordinary people, normal humans, base of the hierarchy. That's a weird... Huh. Interesting. That is quite interesting. Kind of reminded me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
Human alien hybrids, angels. Like he has a whole thing that goes above the government.
I've got to read Tim Taylor's stuff.
Check this out. And he's a dude that's high functioning. He's been working on NASA missions since the Challenger, where he actually talks about Judith Resnick, who died in the Challenger mission. It really affected him. But he's a known entity at NASA. He's worked there for a long time. And then he's also at Aerospace Corporation, like a very real guy. And then also, clearly had dealings at the highest levels of government. He claimed to meet with the president, actually, in certain cases, and is showing up in these experiencers' lives, too. He showed up in the life of Chris Bledsoe. He showed up with Charles Hall, who said that he lived with aliens at Area 51. He knows Whitley Strieber. So it's he's almost like he's operating on some higher mandate. Like who's ordering him to go, talk to these experiences?
He's talking about Richard Dolan?
That's wild. I do know, like, one of the individuals that was brought to me was highly credible, that does receive what he describes as downloads. And this is not a weirdo. This is not a guy living in a van down by the river. This is a very respected individual in our nation.
Yeah.
Not famous, but just a very respected business leader and thought leader.
I know who this person is. Yeah,
no
I'm
way.
not going to out him, but
okay.
Yeah, but he has some very interesting experiences where he sort of channels prophecies.
Yeah,
and it's always hard to say because it's some of these things, often feel filtered through the person, and sometimes they can be almost seductively adjacent to true things, but they also feel like, how would you know that sort of thing? Really on the nose in certain cases. So, and he reaches out to me actually because I'll often cover something with my show, and he'll be like, I channeled the exact thing or wwhatever. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of trippy. So
he's been a very, I think he's a fantastic to know.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt him. I don't doubt that he he believes that he's
I don't doubt
pursuing
his
this.
experiences. No,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll keep it high level, but yeah, he has a very impressive business track record as well. Just
Mhm.
has done some remarkable things.
Yeah, you don't operate at the level that he's operating if there's something off.
No, exactly. Well, that's what I mean. I
Good
think
point,
a lot of people
CW.
have this misconception that the higher you go in society, the like less trippy you get. Like it's not functional to be
Mhm.
out there and into metaphysics or eschatology or any of these things. And I think it's the opposite. I think often the higher you go, the more like,
You-
oh, there's something interesting going on.
Maybe, yeah, because you stop thinking about, how am I going to pay for my boat, or how am I going to like,
Your Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
needs moves you to a point where you start thinking of the higher
100%. Have you ever spent time around Trump?
I have. Yes.
Because I want to hear what that was like, because Tucker Carlson was recently interviewed by the New York Times, and it was one of these clearly like kind of smug gotcha, like the New York Times was trying to like make him look like a fool or whatever. And he was like, I think he described it as like a supernatural experience being around Trump. And Trump is like, he's a phenomena of a person. He grew up you couldn't write this up. His preacher growing up was Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. And if you think about his whole thing, it's like this, like kind of like, we're going to be bigger and we're going to be better, it's just like, and it's sort of like manifest, and it ends up happening, and he's able to he keeps going. And so was that your experience? What did you?
I found him to be a very hospitable, very sweet and warm individual, and then at times the funniest person you'll ever meet. He will, especially, he's pretty much the same person on camera or on a stage.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think he takes off the filter a little bit.
Yeah.
Or he'll tell stories. Like he told, I got the time I spent the most time with him was during one of the days that he was on trial.
Mhm.
And it was the day that, that his attorney, Cohen, was testifying against him. And it was so remarkable. That day was so remarkable because you had him on the stand admit that he's stealing money from Donald Trump. And yet he's a credible witness to this. I think at the time it was the housing, like that he had overvalued his properties or whatever,
which is ridiculous.
So he's got to spend a lot of time with Trump. What was also fascinating is this guy, one of the wealthiest people in the world, and when he orders food, it's just pepperoni pizza, just boxes of pepperoni pizzas. And he didn't, because normally if you're going to order food for a group of people, you would probably do, we'll do a few of this, few of that, few of this, right? Complicated a little bit. Trump is not. He kept it simple. Everyone's eating pepperoni pizza.
Oh, it's hilarious. And I believe he loves Big Macs.
Yes.
And I think he's a little paranoid, and Big Macs are pre-prepared so that they can't be meddled with. But he's clearly running on some sort of junk energy that like it really, his father, Fred Trump, he believed that the human heart was like a battery. So the more you worked out, the more you lowered the energy in the battery. And so, so it's like, like Trump's like eating Big Macs and pepperoni pizza, and he's chilling at Mar-a-Lago
and working all night long.
He's sleeping 4 hours a night, and he's what, in his early 80s now? He's
right.
And he's still going. He's a remarkable, whatever your politics are. It's like that guy is
physical specimen.
He's a physical specimen. Yeah. Should be studied.
Well,
he is the UFO.
The other thing I found comical is we were in like honestly, the courtroom we were in reminded me of the TV show Night Court, like that kind of New York, like everything's old, a little bit dingy, not exactly nice new furniture. And Trump commented several times about how much he loved the chairs in the side room that we were in. And these were not even nice chairs. He's like, I love these chairs. It's so comfortable. He was just commenting about something like that. That struck me. Right.
Yeah. Well,
I've delivered a lot of McDonald's orders for DoorDash.
Somebody like that.
I've been DoorDashing like a month.
Has got to be operating at such a high level, but you also need that in-person charisma. And so you remember the little details too, in a way that probably just wins the favor of like everyone. And I'm sure there are tons of people who criticize him so much from afar.
Yeah.
And then they get pulled in by that handshake, and he starts talking, and like, they go goo goo gaga, I'm sure that happens all the time.
Disarmed.
Yeah. He does. No one has more charisma.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you think we go on UFOs? Like, it feels like, look, for as much as we've been talking about kind of the quixotic, sometimes Sisyphean aspects of this whole topic, which feel, like very frustrating.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of progress, and I think you're a big part of that progress. So I guess I'd love to hear, maybe some behind the scenes stories of like what has led us to today, which we're at a historic juncture where we're getting releases from the Department of War. And then what do you see as like a go forward outlook?
I think we would not have been here had it not been for this like magic moment where we had, I'll begin with the bravery of people like David Grush and Lou Elizondo coming forward. Admiral Gallaudet, Dylan Borland, the list goes on, right? You've had some really brave people that have sacrificed their careers to come forward. And then you've had members of Congress who, I mean, selfishly, I'll say that it was not exactly an advice that was given to me by my campaign advisor. He said, do not talk about this topic. It's going to kill your political career, because this is not something that's going to advance you. People are going to smirk about it, and you won't be taken seriously politically.
I think it ended up working, and I think people love you because you jumped into this.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's people like myself, Tim Burch. I'm going to say the godfather of the Congress that kind of was willing to talk about it, and then obviously leadership of Anna Polina Luna, and then us just as a team pushing. Any moment that we would get, we would be telling the White House staff, we'd be nagging them about this, and then us trying to pass the UAP Disclosure Act language on the National Defense Authorization Act, coming up and failing, but at least getting that spotlight put on it, that moved the ball. But then when we finally got Trump in, and then he was, following through on the disclosure of the JFK files, following through on the disclosure of MK Ultra and the Martin Luther King Jr. files, all of these things. And even though it was sticky and messy, the Epstein files, at the end of the day, Trump is the disclosure president. And when he finally, issued this directive to release the UFO files, we are at a historic moment, because you've had presidents that never wanted to talk about this, that have always kept this secret. And this president, and the fact that you have a combination of Congress that's willing to actually roll up their sleeves and do the work, this is a magic moment. And so where we go from here, I think, has to do with, this task force that Stephen Miller has put together, and the fact that Trump assigned Miller.
That's his guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's the guy who Trump said when he first came in, assigned him to fix the border wall situation. And then, so, it's like, those are his top priority. That's
How's
his top
that
priority.
going?
Now he's assigned to this. That's a big deal. So you got Stephen Miller leading the charge. He's a bulldog. And then you've got a team of people, the fact they're making the CIA work come to the table. They're making the Department of Energy talk about this. They're putting together this team. I've got, I'm skeptical, but I've got a little bit of hope. And then what I'm trying to do is trying to hit the private sector, get them on alert. And then, and a lot of these letters that I'm sending to, whether it's MITRE or RAND or MIT Lincoln Labs, we're working. I'm, basically telegraphing to the White House, hey, look at what I'm doing. You guys need to follow up and follow this investigation.
And you're working kind of hand in hand with Grush on a lot of this stuff.
Yes. And some others that are kind of advisors, that are outside advisors.
Any others that you can mention
that don't want to be public? None of them want to be public.
Okay.
It's a lot, CW. 2,300 total, or just McDonald's?
What do you know? Because I think it's easy for people in the audience to be skeptical around reprisals that people faced.
I will say I have a nickname for that group, the Lone Gunmen.
Yeah, exactly.
That are my little team of advisors.
Mm-hmm.
They've been very helpful for me.
Yeah. Well, do you have any insight into the kind of pushback that people like David Grush have faced?
Yeah, I think that I got to see a meeting happen between Grush and someone from ODNI. That was a pretty blunt meeting where he was, and you could tell they were basically apologizing for the way in which he's been treated over these years. And so I think the message that I'm trying to deliver to them is it's going to take more than an apology. You guys really need to, you need to correct some of the things that have happened.
Do you think we have saucers and hangars? Do you think we have real physical craft sitting in hangars? Do you think we have alien bodies in facilities?
I don't have any evidence, but I hope we do. I would love it if we do. That's what I'm trying to find, but I don't have any evidence of it.
But if you had to guess, if you had to, to the audience, I'm making you engage in speculation. if it's like a yes or no,
probability wise, I would say maybe a 10% chance that we do.
10%. Okay.
Yeah.
But worthy of investigation because of the implications of what we do and because of all the circumstances.
It's a game changer. It's breakaway technology. And honestly, if we did have it again, I go back to the time that I spent on the tarmac. I think we should all be frustrated that we are not able to share in this if there is a breakaway technology that's being hidden.
Yeah. Well, Congressman Eric Burlison, this has been an honor. It's been a lot of fun. It's really refreshing, actually, to hear somebody who's just like, this is what was told to me. I'm cataloging it, and I'm going to look for more evidence, and I'm just going to follow the trail, and I'm not going to be dramatic about it. I'm not going to act all histrionic, attention-seeking, call myself a starseed, say people are coming after me. There's enough of that. Trust me.
Right.
And that's not to say I don't indulge some of that myself with people I speak to, but I think what you have is missing. So I appreciate your just kind of whole candid approach to the whole topic. I think that's really needed.
Well, and appreciate the deep dives that you do. I watch your podcasts I sometimes have to chunk them because they're long, but I really love your work. You're an elite class, and the product that you produce is of the highest caliber, and I look forward to every episode.
I don't know what to say. That means so much. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right. Cool.
Nice. That was a good interview. That was a damn good interview.
If you want to access...
And we are done with that. The link to that is in the description, by the way, guys. Give that channel a view and a subscribe. He does some really, really interesting discussions. Now, does that mean that all of them are 100% accurate? No, but it sure is interesting. You know what? It's food for thought. Chew on it. We are going to raid Vector117 over there on pill.net. Who are we going to raid here on Rumble, guys? I do need to do a refresh and see if we've had any more reposts and comments, because I appreciate you guys helping the channel grow. And that is a way that it helps the channel grow. We got a new follow. My K will win Etsy in Yorban. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Puts us at 1525, I think, total followers, including the channel, the Dozer Den. Let me see. Who are we going to raid on the Rumbles? Let me look really quick, actually. See if anyone's live on this Discord. Let me check. Let me see. Let me see. Just gotta check. I don't know if anybody is live right now on that. Actually, Den of Tim's... It looks like it might be drama. It's drama. I mean, no, I'm good. I'm not really engaging in drama stuff. Favorite Things is live still. Well, didn't we raid Favorite Things? Yeah, we raided Favorite Things yesterday. So we are going to raid somebody else today. Who we got? Got the wrong neighborhood. Virgie. Dawn of Everything. Good lord. Dawn of Everything's got 106 people watching. Hell yeah. Panda sub. Good use, Spartacus. I haven't done Panda sub in a while. Oh, we should raid. I wish Shema would raid out. If Shema raided out, I would definitely be. Joey, we'll do Joey Cannoli. Yes. We're going to raid Joey Cannoli. Good people, I've been on his show once. I look forward to doing it again sometime. I need to get on with Yankee Free again as well. I haven't been on with Yankee in a minute. Lord, I should go to bed. I have work in the morning. I need to act like an adult. It's not fun, though. Who wants to do that?
It's just because she banned your ass, CW.
Did she ban you, or did she just tell you to chill out? I forget.
I like Shema. It's okay. CW does not like Shema.
That's all good. We don't have to like the same people. All right. Guys, appreciate the heck out of you being here. We are going to play the Dozer Den theme song, and halfway through or so, I'm going to send you guys over to Joey Cannoli. Tell him that he has the cream that you doth desire. For he is a cannoli. Let's rock.
Land of power, land of might, exceptional rage, endless fight, patriot bulldozer, leading the way, crushing all foes, making them pay. trails of destruction left in the name of the blessed, the theft. Freedom's price, a crimson blade. Bulldozer, savage of fear, legend made. Bow before the storm, unstoppable wave. Marching forward, no soul to save. Bulldozer's wrath, tearing apart. Exceptionalism, fire in the heart. Blazing trails of destruction left in the name of the blessed, the theft. Freedom's price, a crimson blade. Bulldozer, savage of fate, legend made. Bow before the storm, unstoppable wave. Marching forward, no soul to save. Bulldozer's wrath, tearing apart. Exceptionalism, fire in the heart.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Dozer Den. I hope you had a good time. Hope your brain was stimulated. Thoughts occurred. All that good stuff. Appreciate you guys being here. I might not be here Thursday night. I do not know what the time frames are yet, but we will see. I will keep you guys updated on X and in the Discord and on locals as well if we have any changes. Should be back, but we'll see. Appreciate you guys being here. Y'all have a good one.